welcome to our nation's capital, and welcome to the inaugural Military Bowl presented by Northrop Grumman. We are coming to you live from RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. Today, the East Carolina Pirates out of Conference USA take on the Maryland Terrapins from the ACC, the school that is about 15 miles away from RFK Stadium in the suburbs. And we welcome you to our nation's capital. Pam Ward along with former Florida State and NFL quarterback Danny Cannell. Quint Kesnick will be joining us shortly. A lot of today's action and storylines will revolve around Ralph Friedgen, his last game as a head coach at Maryland. But what we have more immediately are two teams that really can light up the scoreboard.
Yeah, we just had fireworks for the festivities here to kick off the Military Bowl. And we should see fireworks on the field as well, especially both offenses put it up in the air. And one of these defenses, East Carolina, has struggled throughout the season. So it'll be interesting to watch.
Both teams averaging well over 30 points per game. Quarterbacks in this game. This is actually a quarterback that Maryland fans are familiar with, Dominique Davis, the BC transfer.
Dominique Davis may be one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the country, putting up astronomical numbers throughout the season. Really the key to this high-powered, pass-happy offense. On the other side, for Maryland, you've got the Rookie of the Year at the quarterback position. He does a great job making decisions with the football, distributing it around to his weapons, so it should set up for a great matchup.
6 interceptions, but none in Maryland's 6 wins in which he has been the starter. Maryland, though, with Ralph Friedgen, new athletic director Kevin Anderson, at first said Friedgen would fulfill the final year of his contract. Then he was named coach of the year. James Franklin, who had been the coach in waiting, left to become Vanderbilt's new head coach. And then on the 20th, Friedgen was told that he would not be back. They would not honor the last year of his contract. He was bought out, and today he is indeed coaching his final game at Maryland. This is his alma mater. He came in 2001. He was the ACC Coach of the Year, leaving as the ACC Coach of the Year.
Well, I think it's been a little bit of surprise, especially with the turnaround that he's led. I mean, last year 2-10, turning it all the way around, getting him in this bowl game. But hey, that's the nature of the business. Lately, it's a very cutthroat business.
And he is really a big emotional coach. And for more on him, let's go down to the field and Quint Kesnick.
While Ralph Friedgen may have a gruff exterior, but on the inside, this is a very sensitive and very emotional coach. The last week has been testing, to say the least. And all through it, he has said how much he loves this team. This Maryland team only won 2 games last year. They've lifted themselves up. They've won 8 this year. The players say they're going to repay that love today. They say they want to come together for Coach Friedgen. Alex Wojcik says they want to send Coach off with a big win.
Wojcik, there you see him, the long-haired middle linebacker, a terrific football player, leading his team in tackles yet again. And Ralph Friedgen, who came to the University of Maryland as a quarterback, eventually left as an offensive lineman, was a tremendous offensive coordinator before he took over here at Maryland. And Ruffin McNeil is in his first year at his alma mater, was a defensive player at East Carolina, took over for Mike Leach in the bowl game earlier this calendar year for Texas Tech, was in the running for that job, interviewed for it twice, but did not get it. And here he is coaching East Carolina, and they are in a bowl game for the 5th straight year.
And here's a team that the so-called experts said predicted would have 2 or 3 wins, going 500 this year, and really off to a horrible ending to the season, losing 4 out of 5, but they had a lot of injuries that decimated their defense.
Maryland won the toss. They are going to receive. Keep your eye on number 82 for Maryland. Torrey Smith, the ACC career leader in kick return yardage. He's taken 3 of them back for touchdowns. Well, that one, as a flag comes down, only taken back to the 15-yard line. James Craig making the stop.
During the return, legal block in the back. Number 12 of the return team. Penalties half the distance to the goal line. First down. Kevin
Dorsey, a backup wide receiver with the block in the back. So Maryland backed up, and here comes Danny O'Brien, redshirt freshman from Kennersville, North Carolina, and the coaching staff just has raved about his work ethic.
Usually when you've got a freshman, you expect a few more turnovers, a few more rookie mistakes, but he has been careful with the football, at the same time providing them with a lot of offense.
Lowest interception percentage of any freshman quarterback in the nation. First snap of the ball game. Maryland from the 8, a little play action up top. O'Brien going for Smith, his big playmaker, and it's intercepted. So the quarterback, who very rarely gets picked off, threw it into triple coverage, and Emmanuel Davis came up with it.
And Danny O'Brien, a clear cut, just, hey, let's take a shot early in the game, trying to get your best wide receiver down the field. Throws it into triple coverage there. It actually was number 12, Kevin Dorsey, trying to catch him on a deep ball. But three guys from East Carolina, Emmanuel Davis, making the interception around the ball. And really, Pam, that's one of the situations where, hey, it's the first play of the game. You're going to take a shot. You hope in worst-case scenario it's an incomplete. But in that situation, East Carolina comes up with a big turnover early.
An excessive celebration penalty on the end of that interception by Davis. That is his second pick this year, and that was indeed number 12, Kevin Dorsey, not number 82, Torrey Smith, the intended receiver. Smith usually is a big play guy, but they sent Dorsey down there, and it resulted in the 7th interception thrown this year by O'Brien. Lance Lewis thrown too, but that play doesn't count.
False start. Number 67 offense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
So already we have seen 3 penalty flags in this game. Brings up a 1st and 15 for the Pirates.
East Carolina running a no-huddle, high-tempo offense, trying to keep Maryland in base defenses.
They call it their air raid offense, and here's a running play. Giovanni Ruffin, the senior from Virginia Beach, the more physical of their running backs, taken down by Kenny Tate after a 2-yard gain.
There East Carolina is right at the line of scrimmage. You see Dominique Davis directing traffic, trying to keep Maryland on their heels.
Davis started against Maryland in a game in 2008 in November and beat the Terrapins in a game that sent Boston College to the ACC championship game. Up top, completion. And close to the first down, Andrew Bodenheimer, a former walk-on who picked up a scholarship in spring of this year.
Ruffin Manil talked to us, said he had 3 keys for the game. Execution on all 3 sides of the ball, fundamentally sound. And he talked about the emotions of the game, playing a complete 60 minutes, a total 4 quarters. He reiterated that he wanted his team to be ready for a full game.
And you have to be ready for the snap for East Carolina. Ruffin picked up the first down. And the chain crew is having trouble getting the markers set before East Carolina gets up to the line and snaps it. But yeah, Coach McNeil, before he let us off the phone the other day, insisted on giving us his keys to the game. Fun guy to talk to. There's a 3-yard gain for Ruffin. Bradley Johnson making the stop for Maryland.
He was great talking to him. He called himself a football lifer, 25 years an assistant coach, finally gets his shot at the age of 50.
Part of the assistancy was a defensive line coach at East Carolina back in the 90s. There's another flag down.
False start. Number 69 offense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
East Carolina has not played since November 26th, and this is some of the things you see with bowl games. With all that time off, they're not very sharp at the beginning. Dwayne Harris, certainly an impact player.
I tell you what, the MVP of the team, all for the Conference USA Player of the Year. Jonathan Williams out of the backfield, not only has run it, but an excellent pass catcher. Alex Wojek from Maryland, really the middle of their defense. He's the impact player for them.
Making his 38th straight start. Completion to Lance Lewis, junior transfer, who picks up 6 yards. Lewis with 13 touchdown catches this season. That is an East Carolina single-year record. They have set all sorts of records. In fact, the quarterback Dominique Davis has broken every passing record for this season, all the major ones. 3rd and 6. Maryland brings a linebacker, Moten, on the blitz. That completion to Lewis again. Lewis a good size at 6'3", 200.
East Carolina, the prolific pass-happy offense. You can see their ranks in the FBS. Top 20 in almost every category, and the passing yardage is what really stands out. Dominique Davis directing this offense has done a phenomenal job moving the ball downfield.
And Lincoln Riley is their offensive coordinator, only 27 years old, the youngest coordinator in the Bowl subdivision. And like many on this East Carolina staff, came with Ruffin McNeil from Texas Tech.
Well, that's what he said, too. The reason they've been able to have so much success is that they carried over the offensive philosophy that they had at Texas Tech, brought in a staff, 5 of the 6 guys from out there in Lubbock, and that's really been why the transition has been so easy.
Lincoln Riley, who is from outside of Lubbock, Muleshoe, Texas. He says it's about an hour from Lubbock. And he did go to Texas Tech. Right now they're taking a look at whether or not this should be a first down. Lewis making the catch. And the officials have marked it about 2 inches short of the first down. So on a 4th and 1, or 4th and inches to be much more accurate, East Carolina, they're 20 for 25 this season on 4th downs. They've gone for it a lot and made it 80% of the time.
And this would be an interesting situation. When you're a pass-happy offense, these are where you struggle in these short-yarded situations. But 4th and inches, you'd have to be expected to pick that up.
Quarterback Davis is an option back there. He has 9 rushing touchdowns. But he hands it off, and it doesn't work. Wojak gets Ruffin in the backfield, and Maryland gets the football. And they do so on East Carolina's side of the field.
And that's the issue you have when you're in shotgun. You figure you only need 4th and inches. A quarterback sneak picks it up. All you have to do is fall forward. In shotgun, you're 5 yards deep.
So Coach McNeil decided to go for it on 4th and inches, but Alex Wojak, the senior who has had 3 straight 100 tackle years, got a big tackle here. Well, welcome back to the 2010 Military Bowl presented by Northrop Grumman. Maryland fans coming out in force. East Carolina as well. East Carolina, a team that draws very well, the best attended team in Conference USA. We wish everybody a happy holiday season as things continue with bowl week. We've got a scoreless game between Maryland and East Carolina. Second possession for the Terrapins, taking over after East Carolina gambled and lost on a 4th and inches. 4 receivers in for O'Brien, but he hands it instead to Darrell Scott. And the senior picks up a couple of yards, stopped by Dustin Lineback. Perfect name for any linebacker. And there is Dustin, leading his team, averaging about 9.5 tackles per game. But this defense, and you touched on it in the open, I mean, they are last in the entire country, giving up 479 yards per game.
Statistically, they've struggled and on the field, but I think they've had a month to think about it, to prepare, and to try to make some adjustments.
Brian Mitchell, their defensive coordinator. David Meggett with the carry. Picks up 3 yards for Maryland, but Torrey Smith, a junior who has already graduated from the University of Maryland, their big play.
Not only a great player on the field, a great returner, but a great person as well, the key to their passing game, as well as Darrell Scott, who you saw take the first run of the game. He's their balanced part of their offense. And then on the defensive side of the ball for East Carolina, Emmanuel Davis already saw his impact with an interception early. He'll be tested throughout the game.
Davis, a second-team All-Conference USA player the last 2 seasons. 3rd and 5 for Maryland. Bryan puts it up just as he's hit. Going again, and he's got Kevin Dorsey, who goes into the end zone. Touchdown, Maryland. O'Brien, the freshman, showing how cool he is under great pressure, just got it off in time.
He got hit right as he delivered the ball, but threw a perfectly thrown pass to Kevin Dorsey. And Kevin Dorsey did a great job setting up the route so that the ball appeared like it was perfectly in stride, but he actually did a little stutter right before he caught it.
And a blocked extra point attempt. East Carolina makes it, or keeps it, a 6-0 game. So Kevin Dorsey with the touchdown catch from 45 yards out puts Maryland up Blocked extra point, though, makes it 6-0 Terps.
See that?
ESPN College Football, the Military Bowl, is presented by Northrop Grumman, a leader in global security, and in part by University of Phoenix, because an educated world is a better world, and the Capital One Venture Card. What's in your wallet?
That is the National Gallery of Art ice skating rink, a beautiful holiday scene here in our nation's capital. Maryland up 6-0 on the touchdown pass by Danny O'Brien, but Maryland with a new offensive coordinator, James Franklin, now at Vanderbilt. Let's go down to Quick Kesnick.
When Franklin left for Vanderbilt, there were some questions. Who would call the plays today? Ralph Friedgen has called plays in the past. Well, he gave that assignment to John Donovan. And talking to Coach Donovan, who's the running backs coach, I said, Coach, when was the last time you called a game? He kind of paused, hesitated. He says, I've never called a game. He said, this will be a team effort, though. He said the passing coordinator will be Lee Hull, who really, and the two of them, Donovan and Hull, have installed this game plan.
Thank you, Quint. John has been at Maryland, Donovan, for 10 years. Ferrara's kickoff finds Dwayne Harris, a very dangerous return man for East Carolina, and he shows you why as he takes it up the sideline. Nudged out of bounds after a 21-yard return. But Ralph Friedgen was a terrific offensive coordinator at Georgia Tech under Bobby Ross, also was with Ross with the San Diego Chargers. And Donovan reportedly is about to go down to Vanderbilt and be the offensive coordinator for James Franklin.
And this will be a great experience for him to kind of get his feet wet as the play caller. And clearly early on, it looks like his game plan is to throw it deep often.
And not to Torrey Smith.
No, that's been the surprise. So obviously they see some matchups that they like with Kevin Dorsey.
Ralph Friedgen said he had to be in the office about 4:30 in the morning to game plan just in case he called the plays when Franklin decided to leave. East Carolina giving the ball to Michael Bowman, and Bowman finds some room on the outside. That should be a face mask over there on the sideline. Cameron Chisholm was the one who got him up high.
Holding. Number 84 in the offense. 10-yard penalty. First down.
We take that back. It's a holding against Justin Jones. Look from the position of the flag that they might have gotten Chisholm for the high tackle, but instead it goes back against East Carolina. They have been struggling early with penalties. Already the third penalty against the Pirates. Check out the fourth penalty. Davis under duress, dumps it down to Ruffin, and he is chased down from behind, tackled a couple yards short of the original line of scrimmage by Adrian Moten, one of the 6 graduates on this Terrapin football team. It was a 4-yard gain. Dominique Davis, look what he's done in his last 5 games, which looks good. But the problem was East Carolina only won 1 of them. His numbers were there, but the defense gave up 55 points per game on average in those games. Pass complete to Lewis, and he is able to fight his way very close to the first down marker. It is a first down for the Pirates.
And Dominique Davis is a guy who came in here, transferred from Boston College to junior college, played in the junior college national championship game against Cam Newton, goes to East Carolina, only gets to camp August 6th, only has a month to pick up the system, so he's still learning the offense. That's why I think you've seen the numbers get better and better.
And they can't wait to get him in there next year for his senior season. Nice hole up the middle, and a healthy gain on first down by Ruffin, who picks up 6 yards. So Davis, no spring ball, just the fall camp. He was at Fort Scott Community College in Kansas last year. Transferred out of Boston College after he was suspended because of his academics, and he's very proud to say that he had over a 3.0 GPA this fall at East Carolina.
Well, he said he's grown up, he's matured a lot. His experience at Fort Scott Community College allowed him to do so in an environment without any distractions.
He was 5 for 5 through the air so far. Second down carry for Ruffin, taken down by Moten after a 2-yard gain. Coach is impressed with the way Davis came into camp. They said he had a great work ethic, and obviously picked up this offense very quickly.
Well, it's kind of funny. You talk to Lincoln Riley and ask him about him. He says he still has a lot of room to improve, even with the numbers he's put up. But they expect a lot of offense out of these quarterbacks.
3rd and 2. Wojak was sneaking in there like he's going to blitz.
Once again, these short yardage situations are tough when you'd expect them to run. They can't.
Wojak coming on the blitz. And that pass is complete for the first down. Dayon Arrington into Maryland territory, picking up 9. Trenton Hughes made the stop for the Terps.
Maryland bringing some pressure, but that presents opportunity on the outside for Dayon Arrington. Finds a mismatch, and Dominique Davis finds the stop spot.
Arrington grew up not far from here in Silver Spring, Maryland, where he went to Paint Branch High School. Time on that play, and it's picked off. Right down the middle. Eric Franklin gets it. Dwayne Harris and Davis thought that Harris was interfered with, but there is no penalty.
Dominique Davis looking over the middle of the field. A little bit of miscommunication. The receiver wasn't even looking for the ball. The intended receiver, just the ball sails a little bit, and Eric Franklin comes in with it. It was Dwayne Harris was who he was trying to throw it to, his best wide receiver. And Dominique Davis right away looking for a penalty.
Harris, the Conference USA Most Valuable Player. They do not throw the flag, so each quarterback now has a pick. There's a run by Darrell Scott. Picks up 9 on first down. A.J. Johnson coming up with the stop for the Pirates.
And Maryland has to focus on football today. They've had a lot of emotional things going on with Ralph Friedgen in his last game as the head coach. Then they have to not allow any big plays for East Carolina's offense, and then most importantly, have to win the time of possession, get their running game going, and keep East Carolina's high-powered offense off the field.
Good situation here for Maryland on 2nd and 1. Keeping it on the ground with Meggett, and he picks up the first down. David Meggett, the son of David Meggett, who played at Towson and also in the National Football League, but raised by his stepfather, guy who's thinking about law school once his football career is over. And the fridge has a word for him.
Well, the teams, both of them out there, a little chippy early on right there after that tackle. You saw a little bit, and even in the pregame warm-ups, exchanging a few pleasantries before the game.
Yeah, a couple of times there were some shoving matches out there on the field. First down for the Terps, empty backfield for O'Brien. Torrey Smith split wide to the right. They throw the other direction to Kevin Dorsey. Dorsey, who caught a touchdown pass, picks up 5 more yards. And let's go back to what happened during pregame warmups.
Well, normally you get to interact a little bit with the player, the other players in the other team, and that's Josh Smith getting into it for East Carolina. When you're at a bowl situation, when you see each other a lot throughout the week, a lot of the events that go on, they have meals together sometimes, a couple appearances, and you get to know each other a little bit, maybe even on a first-name basis.
Both these teams playing football for the first time in about a month. 2nd down for Maryland. O'Brien, plenty of time to find his receiver. Close to the first down, actually driven back. That's Kerry Boykin, sophomore from Forestville, or from Chesapeake, Virginia, excuse me. This is the first time that these teams have ever played each other. East Carolina plays a lot of teams out of the ACC. Lost to North Carolina this year, but beat NC State in overtime. That was indeed a first down. They gave him forward progress past the 6. Meggett back in the backfield. Gets it, and he is stopped behind the line of scrimmage by Josh Smith along with A.J. Johnson. Smith, the senior out of Raleigh, is a guy who walked on and made his way all the way up to starter.
Josh Smith, an impact player. He's able to get penetration on this one. See him even there. I mean, there's definitely a little extracurricular activity going on out there, and he's a guy that I wouldn't mess with.
Guy who walked on, actually was cut, tried to walk on in the fall of '07, got cut, came back the next spring, finally made the team, and this year he was an honorable mention All-USA player. O'Brien hits Smith. Torrey Smith, his most dangerous weapon, gets his first catch of the day, and that's good for 9 yards.
John Donovan, the play caller today in his first game play calling, doing a good job mixing things up early on, taking some deep shots down the field, working in the run game, and there you see the short passing game. So he's still feeling his way into the flow of this game, figuring out the weaknesses in East Carolina's defense.
DJ Adams now in the backfield for Maryland. On third down, Adams gets the carry and spins for the first down. DJ Adams, a redshirt freshman, had a really good game against Wake Forest earlier on this season. And a bright future for him. Darrell Scott, a senior, finishing up his career today.
I think this is one of the areas when you see East Carolina struggling. They've had a ton of injuries on the defensive line, and early on in this game, it looks like Maryland's offensive line is pretty much having its way with some of this youth in the size mismatch up front.
Darrell Scott back in at tailback on first down. So Bryan changes things up. And some words from Torrey Smith, and he's looking at Smith down the right sideline. And that pass is thrown well short. Capital One Bowl Week continues with an SEC Big Ten New Year's Day resolution. There's 3 games for you. 1 Eastern on ABC. Urban Meyer's last game. It's Florida and Penn State in the Outback Bowl. 1 Eastern on ESPN, Alabama, Michigan State. 1:30 on ESPN2, the Progressive Gator Bowl, Mississippi State, Michigan. Capital One Bowl Week, New Year's Day on ABC, ESPN, and ESPN2. You can also see them online on ESPN3.com. 2nd and 10 after the incompletion. 3 receivers to the right of O'Brien. Fakes that way, but he handed the ball off to Darrell Scott already. He picked up a couple of tough yards. Melvin Patterson made the stop. And you mentioned the injuries on the defensive line for East Carolina. Maryland has had to retool their offensive line. They're down 2 starters. Pete D'Souza, the young man who broke both legs when he was hit riding a scooter, most notably hurt back in October.
Only their left guard, number 77, Andrew Ganella, has played the same position all 12 games. Every other position has been a revolving door. It's really a credit to Tom Bratton and the job he's done with the offensive line.
10th play of the drive. 3rd and 8. O'Brien flushed. The flags are down. So we'll have to snap it again.
False start. Number 75 offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Friedgen, the former offensive lineman at Maryland, just shakes his head on that call. Maryland also lost their left tackle Justin Gilbert to a knee injury earlier in the season, so a retooled offensive line, and you mentioned the good job the offensive line coach has done to patch that line together. As the more an offensive line plays together, the better they are. And they've had to learn different positions in a hurry. After the penalty, 3rd and 13. O'Brien throws it short in the direction of Torrey Smith. Nowhere close. Big time pressure again from East Carolina, led by Matt Milner. And on the sidelines, there you see him, number 79, Pete D'Souza. Actually remarkable that he can even be walking on crutches right now.
Part of a horrific scooter accident, broke both of his legs, and it is great to see him moving around on the sideline. And Coach Friedgen said he expects him to make a full recovery, which is pretty phenomenal considering what he's been through.
Dealing with a little bit of nerve damage in one of the legs, but as Danny mentioned, they're very optimistic he can come back. Good idea not to kick it to Dwayne Harris. Travis Bald skies one. Out of bounds. Not going to get a great net on it. It goes out of bounds at the 20, about a 23-yard punt. Pirates down 6. Well, Welcome back to the 2010 Military Bowl presented by Northrop Grumman. Maryland up 6-0. We wish you all happy holidays. So who will replace Ralph Friedgen? Lots of names being bandied about. Quint Kesnick has more.
Well, it was reported yesterday here in Washington that 3 candidates have met with Maryland Athletic Director Kevin Anderson. June Jones, head coach at SMU, Mike Leach, former head coach at Texas Tech, and Gus Malzahn, the offensive coordinator at Auburn. Now, immediately last night and this morning, June Jones of SMU withdrew his name from consideration. There are some other names, but Kevin Anderson keeping a low profile today. I looked for the athletic director. We assume he's here. He's been keeping a low profile, certainly not to create any friction between him and Ralph Friedgen. But from what we know so far, those are 3 potential coaches that Maryland spoke to over the holidays.
Thank you very much. Randy Edsel at UConn, and Sumlin down at Houston, also among those who might be on the list. Jonathan Williams now into the game. For the first time we've seen that running back in there, but they throw it to Michael Bowman for a 3-yard gain. And when we talked to Ralph Friedgen, he said that he felt belittled. That was the word that he used when they decided not to extend his contract. He said he was not blindsided, but really felt belittled by not getting that offer. It is a new athletic director who didn't hire him, and he understands athletic directors oftentimes like to bring in their own guys. But still, the way it was handled probably could have been better. Davis will inside screen, flanker screen to Dwayne Harris, and more scuffling. Loose ball. Maryland says they have it, and they do. Harris lost the football, and the Terrapins in great position around the 26-yard line.
Maryland's defensive coordinator, Don Brown, said they were designed perfectly to defend this offense. And they looked ready for that one. You see the stripped ball. Joe Villano and Zachary Kerr together doing an outstanding job stripping it and creating the turnover, providing Kenny Tate the opportunity to jump on it and get the recovery.
Villano's dad was an All-American defensive tackle at Maryland back in the day. Second turnover for East Carolina. Maryland has it first down at the 28-yard line. Scott over the left side. Taken down about 5 yards downfield by Dustin Lineback. Maryland has done a really good job of holding on to the football this year. Coming into this game, only 3 teams had fewer turnovers than the Terrapins. And then defensively, they've done a good job of taking the ball away, and it's a huge difference between wins and losses.
Any coach you talk to across America will tell you in their very first meeting when you start the season, you've got to win the turnover battle. And when you can protect the football like that, chances are you're going to have a good season.
Don Brown, the defensive coordinator, his team has had 4 defensive touchdowns, tied for 4th in the country this year, 3 of those in the last 5 games. And they come up with turnover. Smith inside, terrific tackle. Torrey Smith taken down immediately by Bradley Jacobs. There you see him, number 3. And that'll do it for the first quarter. Maryland scoring on a Kevin Dorsey touchdown catch from Danny O'Brien. The extra point was blocked. The inaugural Military Bowl from here in Washington, D.C. Maryland driving and up 6. Welcome back to the 2010 Military Bowl presented by Northrop Grumman. Maryland leading East Carolina 6-0 as we head to the second quarter, a game that it is the final one for Ralph Friedgen. And there's one of the many signs here: a house without a fridge is not a home. A lot of support for the Terrapin, who is going out after 10 seasons, including 2 ACC Coach of the Year awards, including this year. This team won 2 games last year, only one of them against a team in the bowl subdivision.
Been to a bowl game 7 out of 10 years. One of the best turnarounds in college football this season.
3rd and 3 for Maryland. Working on the short field because of ECU's fumble. And another completion, first down Terps. Kerry Boykins with another catch. Picks up 8. And the first down. This is what Ralph Friedgen has done in his 10 seasons. As Danny mentioned, 7 bowl games. That's the most that any Maryland coach has done in one time around. And the Coach of the Year and really turning things around in his decade compared to the decades before he got there. So just a remarkable turnaround for Maryland, but he is still being let go. Maryland now in the red zone. Meggett up the middle, met right at the 10-yard line, picked up about 3. Lamar McClendon making the stop for the Pirates.
I can speak from personal experience too, playing in the ACC when I was there in the mid-90s. Maryland was a stat game. It was a game that you looked to boost your stats a little bit. They were you kind of ran over them. No offense there as a former Terp. But now, I mean, Ralph Friedgen has made them relevant again, brought them ACC titles, and has had a stellar 10 years.
And a running play for DJ Adams. He picks up a couple. 10 years before Friedgen got to Maryland, they had 1 winning season, 0 bowls. They won 34% of their games with the Fridge. They've won 60% of their games and gone to 7 bowls. So when you played against him, your stats were great. I don't know if you could do that against a Don Brown defense.
No, Don Brown, he runs a lot of different things, mixes it up.
3rd and 6 for Maryland. They're 3 for 4 so far on 3rd downs. 4 receivers in for the Terps. Low snap. O'Brien, good job of picking it up over the middle. Incomplete. He was looking. For Laquan Williams, but he was double covered by linebacker Patterson. And now Maryland has to try a field goal.
Danny O'Brien had to take his eyes off the defense to go down and get the poor snap. A lot of times when you do that, you lose track of defenders. Dustin Lineback came up with a big hit to prevent the pass completion.
25-yarder for Travis Baltz, who has hit on 81% of his field goals so far this season. And he missed it. It looked like it might have hooked in there at the last second, but no good. Ralph Friedgen sees his team leave 3 points. So that's 4 points they've lost in the kicking game with the blocked extra point and then the field goal miss. We have a robot coming up on the other side of the break. Welcome back to Washington, D.C., home of the White House, as well as the Northrop Grumman Military Bowl. Northrop Grumman, one of the sponsors of this bowl, and that ties into a story with Quint Kesnick, who's with a little friend on the sideline.
Yeah, wonderful environment here at RFK, a building with such history, and you never know what kind of VIPs you're going to see in Washington, D.C. We have a special guest right here. This is a movie star out of the Hurt Locker. This is the Andros HD1 remote-controlled robot. It's been nice enough to bring me a cup of coffee. This thing weighs 200 pounds, stands 5 feet tall. It's used by law enforcement and military to solve some of their biggest challenges, basically to disarm explosives in places that humans can't get to.
Seen prominently in that great film, The Hurt Locker, thanks Quint. Dominique Davis has not had a pass hit the ground yet today. He's completed all of his passes to his own guys and also thrown an interception. That's a 2-yard loss to Williams. More from Quint.
Well, it is battery powered. It has got 4 different eyes. It doesn't have X-ray vision, but it's got great vision. 216:1 lens right here, and we're actually going to ask our friend the Andros to shoot some of this football game.
We like that. We have another camera guy that probably is working for free. Davis under duress from Moten, who put on some great pressure, and they're going backwards. There's 2 straight completions for Davis, and 2 straight times they've lost yardage. Hartsfield coming up with the stop. And this is what Andros is seeing right now. Let's take a look at it. This is what he just saw.
It's coming right at him. Andros has got to be a little careful down there on the sidelines. I think he'd have no problem holding his own, though.
Yeah, I would. My money's on him. If he can face bombs, he can face a football player. 3rd and 18, the Maryland faithful. Up and screaming, and another penalty flag. We've had tons of penalties so far in this game. East Carolina had 4 alone in the first quarter. That is their 5th of the game.
False start. Number 63 in the offense. Penalties half the distance to the goal line. 3rd down.
And this is one of the biggest things you deal with when you haven't played a game in 3 or 4 weeks. You're kind of rusty. You're not in the flow of things, and you see sloppy penalties like that. And also, we were predicting, or at least I was, an offensive shootout, but both teams been sloppy so far. 3 turnovers, a blocked kick, and only 6 points.
7 penalties between the two teams.
You were on board with me on that shootout call, right, Dan?
I thought we might have a little 60-60 game, something like that. That's incomplete off the hands of Lance Lewis. And Maryland's going to get the football in really good field position.
Dominic Davis just trying to crawl his way out of the territory, finding Lance Lewis just a little bit high, and got a little bit lucky that Trenton Hughes, number 21 from Maryland, didn't come up with that interception. But this is going to be back-to-back chances for East Carolina, backed up in tough position, and so far they've lived up to the challenge.
First incompletion that Davis has thrown today, and there's the punt by Ryan. And it is taken by Tony Logan, who is taken down immediately, but still, after the 33-yard punt, Maryland's going to have it from the 43-yard line. And the robot continues to shoot the game for us.
ESPN College Football, the Military Bowl, is brought to you by Eagle Bank. Expedia, the best travel tools are all in one place. Where you book matters, Expedia. And the Touchdown Big Box, only at Taco Bell.
Welcome back to Washington, D.C. A statue at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, very moving memorial. There are, of course, several here in town that you can go to see. And if you're ever in this town, they're free. You just go in, and it's really remarkable the things that you can do in this city. Beautiful day, a little cold, especially for a Florida native like Danny Cannell. But a beautiful day here in Washington. Let's see what Maryland can do, starting from East Carolina's 43. Last time they started the drive was on their 28 of East Carolina. They got no points. Well, Bryan comes out throwing, and he completes it to Furstenberg. First time he's thrown to a tight end. And that's a huge play for the Terps. 29 yards.
Maryland running a little play action. You're going to see a slam down and also another tight end on a deeper route. And Danny O'Brien, when he comes off the play action, take your pick. Both guys absolutely wide open.
Unnecessary roughness. The 15-yard penalty, an automatic first
Maryland's
down.
going to get 15 yards at the end of that because of an unnecessary roughness penalty against East Carolina. They are just crushing themselves, Ruffin McNeil's team, with these penalties. They're fortunate they're only down 6-0. And now Maryland's going to be in great shape.
And it's tough enough when you have to start with your backs against the wall and then to attack on an extra 15 yards. The challenge is only going to get harder for East Carolina, and Ruffin McNeil knows that. Very frustrated right now with his team that's already had a couple questionable calls go against them that are just pointless penalties.
East Carolina fortunate because Maryland was so close to the goal line. It's just half the distance, so it's 7 yards instead of 15, but still that's a 36-yard play between the 29-yard catch by Furstenberg and the penalty. Maryland has it 1st and goal at the 7. Adams gets the handoff and is taken down around the 2-yard line. This East Carolina defense giving up on average 43.4 points per game. Only 2 teams in the bowl subdivision gave up more points this season.
And they've got a chip on their shoulder too. They've heard about their rankings the past month, and they really wanted to come out here and come out with an impressive performance. But with the turnovers that their offense has had and the poor field position they've had to defend, it's been a challenge.
2 tight end set for Maryland on 2nd and goal. And a terrific play by Josh Smith taking down Adams in the backfield. Smith, called the defensive MVP by his coordinator Brian Mitchell, comes up with the big play.
Josh Smith, the big man in the middle. He's got a warrior mentality, as his coaches like to call him. Got penetration right off the get-go. Was able to get in the backfield and the tackle for the loss. And if they could come up with a stop on this one, you'd think it was a huge victory for East Carolina with all they've been through this season.
3rd and goal. Maryland now going with 3 wide receivers. Maryland takes a timeout. A big 3rd and goal coming up after we take a short break. Welcome back. A lot of Pirate fans. There's a lot of purple we saw in downtown Washington. This is a team that draws very well, leading the Conference USA in attendance. And only BYU, out of the non-automatic qualifier schools, draws better across the country. All right, after the timeout, Maryland, 3rd and goal. O'Brien, with all the time in the world, throws to make it, but he's about a yard short of the goal line. Now they're saying it's incomplete.
East Carolina, 2 possessions in a row. Their defense has stepped up in a big way, defending a short field and coming up with critical stops on 3rd downs. Last time Travis Baltz missed the field goal, he'll try to convert on an even shorter one.
This one from 23. He missed wide right from 25 last time out. And this is from the same position at that hash. Compensates much better, and he nails that one. So Maryland with 2 red zone trips, coming away with 3 points, up 9-0. Welcome back to Washington, D.C. Maryland with a 9-0 lead over East Carolina. In the Military Bowl, we had a personal foul on that last drive, and Danny's going to show it to us.
Well, Josh Smith, their best player on defense, has got to control his emotions. There's no impact on the play. You're 30 yards away from the football, and you go up and hit Andrew Ganella on a cheap shot. It's just you've got to control your emotions better than that. You saw him out there early in the game in the warm-ups. He was chirping a little bit, and he's a great player, but you can't get those 15-yard personal fouls.
And he did it right in front of an official. Ferrara with the kickoff. Dwayne Harris at the 15. Very dangerous return man. Gets away from the initial wave of terrapins. Let's get a Sports Center right now from Wendy Nix back in the studio.
Pam, thank you. The NFL has fined Brett Favre $50,000 for failing to cooperate with an investigation into allegations he sent inappropriate messages to a former Jets employee. The league could not determine that Favre violated the league's personal conduct.
Thank you, Wendy. Meanwhile, while we were away at the end of that kick return, surprise, surprise, more penalty flags down. It's starting to get out of hand.
More pleasantries going on. I mean, these
pushing
guys,
and shoving.
First time they've ever met, they're playing like they've hated each other for years.
So the
There's a kicker involved in it, too. I mean, you don't see that a whole lot.
No, usually they're running to the sidelines, right?
After the return, personal foul. Number 21 of the kickoff team. 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
Trenton Hughes, who was a return man himself and a backup defensive back, and Ralph Friedgen having a discussion about it.
Well, that wasn't the penalty because that's just extracurricular right there.
Yeah, Hughes, number 21, is the guy who was called. There's Hughes coming in. He threw
There's
a punch. Yep, looked like he threw a punch at Perryman. But this
You're picking on a kicker, though. You got to lay off the kickers. But this is a chance. You saw both head coaches in that last shot. You've got to pull your team over to the sideline, group them together, and say, hey, guys, we can't have that. Get them focused on the game. We talked about the emotions involved this week. Focus on the game at hand.
Davis's team is down 9-0, and that pass incomplete. Looking for Michael Bowman. Let's go back down to the field and Quint Kesnick.
Guys, the ill will between these two teams started yesterday at the luncheon. Teams had to be separated. Both teams were wearing black sweatsuits, and I was talking to some security guys who were at the luncheon yesterday. They said it's very difficult to tell who was who, but the teams were pushing and shoving at the luncheon. What's been interesting about this bowl is that the players have not interacted like they do at a lot of other bowls, where they go bowling, where they have meals together, and so they really never established any kind of friendship.
And that's carried over to the field. No friendship on the field, for sure. Davis completes that to Bodenheimer over on the sideline, picking up 8 yards, so a couple yards short of the first down. There also were some comments. Maryland did not practice. They took a break for exams, didn't go back to practice until the 22nd of December, and some of the ECU players thought that that was a sign of disrespect. And sometimes you say these things to fire yourself up. They were taking breaks for exams and not practicing, because Maryland just is on a different schedule than most other schools.
That's the bottom line. Teams do things differently.
Davis completes it for the first down. Dwayne Harris, his superstar receiver, comes up with his second catch of the game.
Dominique Davis, a quick hitting passing game to the outside. Dwayne Harris on a quick slant. East Carolina's offense trying to catch some momentum. It's been a little bit of polar opposites. The defense has stepped up. The offense has struggled.
Which has been not the way the whole season has gone. What an effort. Now it's called incomplete. Lewis able to stop on a dime, tried to get his feet in bounds, and it's called incomplete. Trenton Hughes was on the coverage.
Dominique Davis trying to throw a fade route. It's underthrown. Lance Lewis came up with a grab. It looked like he trapped it against the ground. His feet were clearly in bounds. East Carolina's hanging around like they want to look at a replay, but the officials don't show any intention of doing so.
Now they're going to stop play.
Okay.
One more look at it. Lance Lewis doing a good job adjusting to the football, coming back to get it. But you can see the way he caught it. Use the ground as his advantage there. Got to get your hands underneath it, almost like he trapped it against the ground.
So East Carolina challenging that call. It was a terrific effort by Lewis just to stop and get both. You just need one in college ball to get both feet in bounds. And the question is, will there be enough video evidence to overturn that call on the field, which was that it was incomplete?
I don't think there will be. I think it was pretty clear cut. And the officials got it right the first time. One more look at Lance Lewis, the 6'3", 200-pound receiver. Like you said, Pam, it was a spectacular effort. Just got to find a way somehow to get your hands underneath the football. And Ruffin McNeil was right over there in the official's ear. But he was on the opposite far side of the field, so he didn't have the best look at it from the sideline. But, hey, you got to plead your case as the head coach. And East Carolina's looking for something to spark their offense, to try to generate some momentum.
After further video review, the play on the field stands. It's an incomplete pass.
Didn't take them long to come up with that decision. So now it's going to be a 2nd and 10 back at the 43. It would have been a 22-yard completion. And as you mentioned, Danny, they really do need a spark for this offense that usually is spectacular, especially with Davis at their quarterback. Davis 4th in the nation, averaging 308 yards per game through the air.
It was interesting talking to Don Brown, Maryland's defensive coordinator. He didn't sound concerned at all. Said we match up really well against these guys. We run a lot of different packages and should give them problems.
East Carolina just 4 first downs on its first 4 possessions, and their long play has only been 12 yards. And that one is thrown behind the intended receiver, Dwayne Harris. East Carolina fans want a penalty, but the ball was already past Harris when Michael Carter grabbed him.
Dwayne Harris coming out of the slot was not ready for the football. His head was not around yet. Looked like Dominique Davis was looking for a hot throw, somewhere to get rid of the ball quick. Dwayne Harris didn't have the same sense of urgency. And that is a bad feeling as a quarterback.
3rd and 10. Maryland with the 4-man rush. Davis gets away and runs, but is tackled short of the first down. Kenny Tate, a terrific free safety for Maryland, chased him down. Tate, great size at 6'4", 220.
Dominique Davis showing a little bit of elusiveness in the pocket, able to move around. Unfortunately, can't find anybody downfield. and can't pick up enough yards for the first down. And once again, another 4th down attempt. East Carolina's going to go for it.
This is 4th and 4. Went for it earlier in the game on 4th and inches, ran a running play out of the shotgun and lost yardage on it. Maryland brings pressure, and Davis throws it incomplete. Kenny Tate, just talked about him. A flag down at the end of the play, but Tate coming in with the big-time pressure. Tate is a guy who's a coach's sake could play several positions. He's a safety for Maryland.
The ruling is an incomplete pass, personal foul, roughing the passer. Number 6 of the defense. Penalties half the distance to goal line, an automatic first down.
Well, Kenny Tate was trying to get Dominique Davis down to the ground, and I don't know if he ever saw the ball come out. Dominique Davis is such a big guy. And then that little extra shove right at the end of the play, I think, is what the officials saw.
So after making a good play to get the pressure on it, a huge mistake for Tate. East Carolina, instead of giving the ball back to Maryland on downs, has a first down at the 22-yard line. So a huge break for this offense that needs a break, and more movement up on the front line.
Full start. Number 67 offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Grant Harner's turn to get up quickly. East Carolina being plagued by false starts this afternoon.
Both these teams are ranked lower than 100 in penalties and penalty yardage, so both of them have had their struggles all season long, and it's carried over into this bowl game.
11 penalties aggregately so far in this game. 7 of them for East Carolina. Accounting for almost 50 yards, they only have 85 yards of offense. Davis hanging on to it, and that play is strung out nicely by the Terrapins. Antoine Perez and Trenton Hughes. There's Perez, number 2, coming back after forcing the action.
Well, this is one thing Lincoln Riley said was the difference between Dominic Davis and some of the quarterbacks that he had at Texas Tech, and that was his ability to run the football. But Dominic Davis had nowhere to go with it, and so far it's been a struggle for this pass-happy offense. They haven't been able to do much today, and you can see the frustration on Lincoln Riley's face.
Only 55 passing yards for the Pirates. 2nd and 16. Davis has a man, finds him. That's Harris. And Dwayne Harris cuts it up inside, or actually marked down right on the 20. Lincoln Riley, he looks young because he is young. 27 years of age, but look at the numbers. They have set all sorts of school records this year.
He's got a lot of weapons to work with Dominique Davis and Dwayne Harris alone. Just those 2 guys are pretty phenomenal athletes.
12th in the nation in scoring, 7th in the nation in passing offense. Here's a 3rd and 8. Wojak coming on the blitz, and that pass is completed. Davis somehow able to complete it to Ruffin. Hartsfield, after Wojak came in and leveled Davis, but he still was able to complete it.
Maryland's been able to dial up blitzes so far and still cover guys down the field. Dominique Davis used to finding a hot receiver who's open, and that time Maryland's Kenny Tate is all over him.
No gain on that play. So here comes a 37-yard attempt by Michael Barbour, who transferred from Maryland to East Carolina. Only played 1 game for the Terps in his career. And now Barbour puts up points against his former team. East Carolina, with that drive kept alive by a penalty, finally gets on the board. Welcome back to the 2010 Military Bowl, presented by Northrop Grumman. Maryland with a 9-3 lead over East Carolina. Carolina on the board thanks to Michael Barbour's field goal. coaching change in the air for Maryland. For more on maybe why that's happening, let's go down to Quint Kesnick.
Yeah, it's a lot more complicated than just wins and losses for Ralph Friedgen and this Maryland football program. Kevin Anderson, when he chose not to renew the contract, he said it was a business decision. Let's take a look at some of the numbers. Maryland season ticket sales, certainly not working in Coach Friedgen's favor. They peaked in 2005 at 28,000, down as low, below 19,000, down 17% after last year's 2-win season. Attendance has been off more than 10% each year for the last 4 years. They've got luxury boxes, 12 of them at the stadium, that remain unsold. It's a fickle fan base. They're faced with some student apathy issues, and clearly the economics made it imperative for Kevin Anderson to make a change in his mind.
East Carolina keeping the ball away from Torrey Smith. They kick it to a short man. That's Ted Townsley who brings it back for the Terrapins. 16-yard return. And the University of Maryland maybe a little ambitious, building all of those suites, overbuilding at a time when nobody could have predicted how terribly the economy would tank. But I know Maryland doesn't want to hear this, but it's never been a great football school. It is a basketball school.
And I think their final game of the season was in prime time against NC State. You figured a night game, a big rivalry game, they could sell it out, and they didn't. I think that's one of the things that kind of was the final nail in the coffin.
There were 35,000 at that game. Big hole for David Meggett. And Meggett is going all the way down the sideline, finally pushed out of bounds at the 22. That's a 44-yard gain from Meggett.
When you look at these three running backs for Maryland, you see a lot of weapons that come to the table. David Meggett, great vision on the cutback. Goes against the grain, and then his speed takes over towards the end of the run. Almost breaks it for a touchdown.
Had a 100-yard game back the very first game of the season against Navy. Takes a breather after the 44-yard run. Derek Blacknall pushed him out of bounds. Maryland down to the 22-yard line. Now Scott with the carry. Maryland only had 33 rush yards for the entire game until Meggett broke free for 44. DJ Adams with the carry. And he picked up 6 more for Maryland.
And when you see David Meggett and DJ Adams in there, those are the guys that Ralph Friedgen references when he says this team has a bright future. A lot of young talent on this Maryland team that's going to set up nicely for somebody that comes in and takes over the program.
Third red zone trip for Maryland. They only have 3 points to show for their first 2 trips, a field goal and then a missed field goal, then a made field goal in that order. Darrell Scott now, the running back. He gets it. Maryland having success on the ground as Scott runs for the first down. One of Danny's keys before the game was to keep East Carolina off the field for the Maryland offense. Obviously, you hold on to it. You keep that dangerous East Carolina offense off the field, and now they're having success running the ball.
Well, they've been able to move the ball down here, and they've benefited as well from great starting field position. Unfortunately for Maryland, they haven't been able to put up the touchdown once they've got down here.
This is the 4th play of the drive. The first 3 plays were all runs, accounting for 55 yards. Meggett, who had a 44-yard run on the first play of this drive, is back in at tailback. Meggett gets it, runs it inside the 5, tackled down around the 3 by Lamar McClendon. Haroon Brown, the fullback, coming in with a nice block.
Those fullbacks don't get a lot of love, but number 32 kicking out the linebacker provides the hole for David Meggett. Those bruisers up front really deserve more attention than they get.
Haroon, a 5'10", 260-pound junior from Hampton, Virginia. Nicely done. And you know Meggett and the rest of those guys appreciate what they do. DJ Adams back in the backfield. He gets the football. And is spun down short of the goal line, but good enough for the first down. So 1st and goal for Maryland.
And you see Maryland on this drive really focusing on the ground game. Struggled a little bit to get the ball in the end zone. Figured they'd go with what works best for them, and that's take advantage of the size advantage they have up front against a young, inexperienced East Carolina defensive line.
Injuries decimating East Carolina's defensive line this season. Adams, touchdown. Andrew Ganella, number 77, helping clear the way this time.
Andrew Ganella, the left guard, pulls. And a nice job by DJ Adams, just hesitating for a split second to letting the hole develop, and walks into the end zone.
8th touchdown of the season for Adams. Baltz in for the extra point. Maryland up 16-3. That was a 6-play drive, 66 yards, all of it on the ground. And Maryland now leads at 16-3. Capital One Bowl Week continues tonight as All-American and Big 12 Player of the Year. Justin Blackmon leads Oklahoma State against Nick Foles and Arizona in the Valero Alamo Bowl. Capital One Bowl Week tonight at 9:15 Eastern on ESPN. Also on ESPN Radio, online at ESPN3.com. Also on your mobile phone. So you have no excuse to miss that game.
None. Should be an entertaining one, too.
Arizona has given up a lot of rushing yards in the last few games, but Oklahoma State, first time they've ever had 10 regular season wins. Blackmon always an entertaining fellow to watch, so tune in at 9:15 Eastern tonight. Capital One Bowl Week, football all the time. Nothing like it.
Pam, Maryland's last drive, you mentioned it, they've ran it every single time. Well, John Donovan, the play caller, was the running backs coach. So obviously he has a little stronger tendency towards favoring the run game.
Donovan calling the plays since James Franklin has gone to Vanderbilt. Rick Ferrara kicks it off to Harris. And Harris is corralled down at the 30-yard line. Halftime is fast approaching. Here's Wendy Nix.
Pam, thank you very much. Coming up on the H&R Block halftime report, Gene Chizik was in Bristol today. You'll hear what the Auburn head coach has to say about his quarterback. Robert Smith joins me to break down today's bowl games, and we'll have the latest on the NFL's investigation into Brett Favre. We'll see you back here at the half. Pam?
Thank you, Wendy. Gene Chizik, the head coach down at Auburn, where Gus Malzahn, his offensive coordinator, is among the names that have reportedly talked to the University of Maryland about taking over as the head coach.
He's going to be one of those names that's thrown around any coaching job, just because he's one of the hottest commodities around the country right now.
Ralph Friedgen's last game as the head coach at his alma mater. Under 3 minutes to go. Dominique Davis out there with East Carolina. Davis so far 14 for 19 for 64 yards. Has thrown an interception. Keep it on the ground with Ruffin. Picks up 3 yards. East Carolina with 2 timeouts, hurrying to the line of scrimmage even faster than usual.
East Carolina running a little double cadence, showing the extremely quick hurry up and then slowing down just a sec.
Maryland brings the blitz again, and that pass is incomplete and then almost intercepted. Michael Bowman was batting it around a little bit. Incomplete pass.
Michael Bowman in the slot with a quick hitting pass. Hit him in the numbers, and that is such a dangerous situation anytime you see that come up in the air. And Adrian Moulton, the linebacker, almost came up with it.
Stops the clock with 2:16 left to go. 3rd and 7. Davis wide open, first down to Lance Lewis. Lewis with some breathing room over on that sideline, picked up 13.
And really, for the first time in this game, East Carolina has been able to find a man-to-man matchup up top. You're just going to find a simple out route. Dominique Davis finds him. It's Lance Lewis on number 26. Michael Carter with the soft coverage. Finally, they capitalize on a blitz coverage.
4th catch of the afternoon for Lewis. Another flag down.
False start. Number 88 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
East Carolina, they have a great play. They come up with a third down conversion, and then they set themselves back behind the 8 ball once again with a false start. It's just these types of things are so frustrating. Ruffin McNeil looking on in desperation almost. I mean, he's saying, come on, guys, try to pull it together. It's their 8th penalty of the game.
8 penalties for 54 yards. 1st and 15. Davis under pressure, escapes, and completes it. Terrific job of extending the play by Davis as he found Andrew Bodenheimer close to a 1st down.
Dominique Davis actually is going to feel the pressure. Maryland brings a corner blitz from the left side, so Dominique Davis runs out to the right and finds Bodenheimer down the field. Great job just buying some extra time for Dominique Davis. Off the script, going to playground football.
Mark it just short of the 1st down. So it's a 2nd and 1. You're going to measure to make sure. And it's inches short.
This almost works in East Carolina's favor. They can come over, talk to the guys, get a little breather. 2nd and inches, I don't even think you consider that. You just go back to your normal offense and keep trying to drive the football.
7 straight games of at least 400 yards of offense, only 122 so far here in this 1st half for East Carolina, but they've really hurt themselves with penalties, turned the ball over a couple of times. And now Davis facing 2nd and inches.
Maryland showing everybody up in the line of scrimmage like they're coming. Will they do it?
See if East Carolina's going to take a shot. Now Maryland's inching Kenny Tate back. And the ball is on the ground. Maryland has it. Adrian Moulton comes up with it for the Terps. East Carolina continuing to self-destruct. That is the 3rd turnover of the 1st half for the Pirates.
Wayne Harris coming across in motion. Dominique Davis, the timing was just a little off. It was almost hard to tell if that was if they were meaning to hand that off or the timing was off so bad on the motion. But a lot of times when teams show blitz, guys get a little antsy. You don't know if the center snapped it too early or Dominique Davis called for it early.
3rd turnover to go with 8 penalties for East Carolina. Maryland with an opportunity to pad the lead, but they keep it on the ground. Had great success on the ground in their last drive. Darrell Scott, though, stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Terrapins with a couple of timeouts remaining. Matt Milner made the stop. Now O'Brien's going to throw it up there. Timing pattern, he throws it over the East Carolina sideline over the head of Kevin Dorsey. So now it's 3rd and 10.
Kevin Dorsey's been the go-to guy for the passing game. You'd expect Torrey Smith to get most of the balls, but Kevin Dorsey with a touchdown in the 1st quarter. Also had a couple nice catches. He's obviously been a big part of this game plan coming in.
Torrey Smith just 2 catches for 10 yards for the Terrapins, a guy who came in with 65 catches for over 1,000 yards on the season. East Carolina showing blitz on 3rd and 10. They bring 1 linebacker, and that pass expedited by the rush intended for Darrell Scott falls incomplete. And Maryland did nothing with the ball on East Carolina's side of the field. Melvin Patterson that time with the good pressure from the middle linebacker spot. And this East Carolina defense much maligned coming in. they're keeping, I mean, this could be a lot worse than 16-3. In fact, their defense on all 3 turnovers, all 3 East Carolina turnovers, the defense has subsequently held Maryland to no points. Skyscraper of a punt by Baltz. And it is downed at the 1-yard line. Terrific coverage by the Maryland special teams. It is marked right outside of the goal line. Avery Graham getting down there. Capital One Bowl week continues Thursday with 2 games on ESPN, starting at noon Eastern with Army in their first bowl since '96, taking on SMU in the Bell Helicopter Armed Forces Bowl. Then it's Kansas State Syracuse in the first New Era Pinstripe Bowl from Yankee Stadium. Capital One Bowl week on ESPN, also available on ESPN Radio, ESPN3.com online, and on your mobile phone. Doug Marone doing a great job. He gets Syracuse back into a bowl game, back at his alma mater, reviving that program. So now here is East Carolina with the ball just outside of the goal line.
They're going to have a look at it and make sure the spot is correct, if that was a touchback or not. East Carolina obviously would love this to changed.
Got to be really wary of a potential safety right now, where the ball is marked. Avery Graham not going to be able to tell anything from that angle. Number 24 getting down there for the Terps. And the rule is different in college than it is in the NFL. It's where the ball is in college, regardless of where the player is. And it appeared that even though Graham was in the end zone, the ball never went over the goal line.
So the play should stand.
After further video review, the call on the field is confirmed. The ball never crossed the goal line plane. Ball's on the 1-yard line, first down.
In the NFL, that's a touchback, but not in college football. Good job by the official, and good job to do that quickly. Got it right?
We like those timely replays right there.
Especially when they get it right. Great look by our crew, too, to give that to the replay officials to make that quick call. All right. East Carolina. Davis in the backfield. Got to be careful about a potential safety. Got rid of it very quickly to Dwayne Harris. Remember, if there's any sort of a penalty in the end zone, that's a safety as well. Hartsfield coming up with the stop, and a timeout is taken by Maryland.
A lot of teams, they're backed up so far, you expect them to run some kind of quarterback sneak just to get it out of there. But East Carolina going to their comfort call. And that's just, hey, let's throw it. They throw it almost all the time anyway. Get it out of there. Dwayne Harris probably could have got out of bounds. I was a little surprised. If they are going to go down and try to at least get into field goal territory, get out of bounds.
So that's a first down with the completion by East Carolina. Why is Maryland calling a timeout with 28 seconds left after they pick up a first down?
That was a little bit confusing to me, too. I'm not exactly sure. Ralph Friedgen did not look happy about something. Maybe he just wants to make sure they're in the right coverage, doesn't want to give them those short, quick, easy throws and let them chip their way down the field. All of a sudden, they are in field goal range. He wants to make sure they end this half on a solid note.
Dwayne Harris, there you see him, number 17 in white and purple. A terrific football player, MVP of Conference USA, 7th in the nation in catches per game. He set all sorts of single season records. Has Harris, 4 catches for 28 yards so far today. They go right back to him, but he can't bring it in.
And there you saw a little bit tighter coverage. I think that's exactly what Ralph said to them.
Yeah.
Said, hey, let's make sure we don't let them go all the way down the field with these little quick hitting hitch passes. It was Cameron Chisholm that time coming up to defend it a little bit tighter.
24 seconds left to go in the first half. Tate coming on the blitz. They throw the opposite way, and that is a big-time tackle by Antoine Perez on Michael Bowman. They lost 3 yards on that play. 2 tackles for loss for Perez. Not known for his speed, but his coaches say he's one of those guys who's savvy, knows where to be on the field, and he proved it on that play, and that'll do it. The first half is in the books. East Carolina goes into the dressing room down 16-3. 3 turnovers for the Pirates and 8 penalties. Maryland scoring on a Danny O'Brien to Kevin Dorsey touchdown pass. DJ Adams with a 1-yard run, and then a field goal apiece for each team. Let's go down the field and Quint Kesnick.
Coach, what was the single key development in that first half?
Well, we missed an extra point, and we missed a field goal. We missed some scoring opportunities. I think our defense is playing well. They've got a good offense. I think our defense is playing very well. And, they're turning the ball over. We got to make some points when they turn the ball over.
ECU only has 3 points. I mean, this is a team that can put up some big numbers. What has been the one key defensively?
Well, Don Brown's a heck of a coach, and our kids are playing very hard, and they got a good scheme. And I think we got them a little bit confused right now.
It's a game that's featured a bunch of penalties and some chippy play, some emotion out there on the field. What does it look like from where you stand?
Well, we got to control the game better, I think, with the officials. I mean, they're hitting late, and we're doing stupid things by getting involved in. We got to have more discipline, make smarter decisions ourselves.
Thanks, Coach. Pam.
Don Brown, the defensive coordinator, getting some much-deserved pat on the back from his head coach. At the half, Maryland leads East Carolina 16-3. Time for the H&R Block halftime report with Wendy Nix. Welcome back to the 2010 Military Bowl presented by Northrop Grumman. We are coming to you from RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. At the half, Maryland leading East Carolina by a score of 16-3. Pam Ward joined by former Florida State and NFL quarterback Danny Cannell. Quint Kesnick is down on the field for us today. So Maryland's up by 13 points here, but it really could have been a whole lot worse. The much maligned East Carolina defense actually has come up with some big stops.
They really have, and they've had their backs against the wall for most of the first half. They were pinned back in their own territory, but really stepped up when they needed it. And on the other side, Maryland's defense has done an outstanding job controlling this high-powered East Carolina offense. So both defenses have actually stepped up to the plate.
Yeah, East Carolina usually averaging 38 points per game, only 3 at the half. As we take a look at our expert breakdown brought to you by Farmers Insurance.
East Carolina really only had one stumble. They tried to blitz the quarterback with their middle linebacker, Melvin Patterson. He's just a step late. And then on the outside, the man-to-man matchup, number 13, Travis Simmons, doesn't get a good jam and lets Kevin Dorsey get by him for the touchdown. But it's just one of those scenarios where you can be a split second behind on one play, and it's just enough to give Maryland a touchdown, which is really the main difference in this game.
For more on that, let's go down to the field and Quint Kesnick.
Well, I spoke to Ruffin McNeil, ECU's head coach, and what he stressed was a couple of things. We have got to start making the fundamental play, he told me. And when you watch this ECU team on tape all season long, they make the fundamental, they make the routine play, and they break tackles, and they get a lot of yards after the catch. We have not seen that. Defensively, quite frankly, he was enthused. This is an ECU defense holding Maryland to 16 points. That's about as good as it gets for the Pirates this year.
Yeah, especially, Quint, considering they've been giving up in their last 5 games an average of 55 points per game. Dwayne Harris, their ever dangerous return man, gets whacked at the 25-yard line after getting up ahead of steam. That's a 23-yard return for him. And it could be, and there is another flag down. We had tons of flags in the first half.
There's a shocker. One more penalty. And really the return guy there, Dwayne Harris, is who I would expect to have a much improved second half if East Carolina wants to have a chance in this football game.
Offside. Number 3, the kicking team. 5-yard penalty be added to the end of the return. First down.
East Carolina in the first half, 8 penalties for 57 yards. Maryland 4 for 42 yards. And here's an offsides on a kickoff.
This will drive a special teams coach nuts. You see, just 6 inches. That really doesn't give you much advantage there when you have to run the full length of the field. Just stay back.
East Carolina, Dominique Davis, the Boston College transfer, was at community college in Kansas last year, at the helm, hands it off to Giovanni Ruffin, who was tackled down by Justin Anderson.
It'll be interesting for me to see how East Carolina's offense, directed by offensive coordinator Lincoln Riley, what type of adjustments he makes to Maryland's defense, because Maryland's defense has dictated pretty much everything that's happened in the first half. East Carolina's been struggling.
2nd and 7, little play action. Davis retreating, and he completes it to Andrew Bodenheimer. Bodenheimer had 3 catches in the first half. And a flag is down in the backfield, offensive backfield.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Number 1 of the offense. 15-yard penalty, second down.
Giovanni Ruffin.
Dominique Davis has had most of his success rolling out of the pocket when he's faced with pressure, finding Andrew Bodenheimer down the field. But Giovanni Ruffin coming in late, trying to protect his quarterback, nails Kenny Tate. You know, that's a questionable call in my mind, but like Ralph Friedgen said, the officials are trying to get a hold of this game, trying to get everybody's emotions in check. Maybe they want to make a statement early in the second half.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, in the first half, there was a lot of chippiness out there, late hits, roughhousing after plays, and maybe the officials are trying to put a stop to it with that flag. So instead of a 1st and 10 at the 47, it's a 2nd and 22 at the 19, but they'll get a chunk of yardage back. Dwayne Harris tackled down by Antoine Perez. Let's take a look at our first half stats brought to you by American Airlines.
Really, Danny O'Brien 50% with the 1 big play touchdown, and Dominique Davis 18 for 25. He's only averaging 4.2 yards an attempt, and that's just not enough. I'd like to see East Carolina take some more shots down the field. Everything's been short and underneath.
Danny O'Brien threw an interception on his first pass and then was quite good after that. That should have been, and yes, it is intercepted. Bounce from one terrapin to another. David Mackel heading towards the end zone and is stopped just short. Antoine Perez deflected it. Mackel took it right to the cusp of the goal line.
Well, we saw it earlier in the first half. It happened. Dwayne Harris in the slot has no idea the ball is coming his way. Dominique Davis getting rid of it. Ball tips around. Antoine Perez and David McCall finally ends up with the football.
First interception for the true freshman David Mackel out of Baltimore, who will start. He is going to take over for Wojak in the middle next year.
Those are pretty big shoes to fill, but he's off in the right direction.
Can Maryland capitalize? Scott, or DJ Adams gets the carry, and he is in. Touchdown, Maryland.
And a disastrous start for East Carolina's offense in this second half. Maryland running the power running game, which they've done so well late in the first half, and to start off here, but it's always easy when you start on the 1-yard line.
That is the second 1-yard touchdown run of the game for DJ Adams. Travis Baltz had 1 extra point blocked early in the game, but nails that one through. That is the 4th turnover committed by East Carolina today. The first time Maryland has been able to score off of it. There is jubilation on the Maryland sidelines. Adams celebrating with his 2nd touchdown run. Well, welcome back to RFK Stadium, not far at all from the campus of the University of Maryland. We wish everyone a happy holiday season. Maryland has just capitalized on a Dominique Davis interception that was tipped into the hands of David Mackel. Set up the 1-yard touchdown run by DJ Adams, his 2nd 1-yard run of the game, and Maryland now has opened this up to a 20-point lead.
And Maryland's defensive coordinator, Don Brown, was pretty prophetic when we talked to him. Said, we're going to bring 17 or 18 different blitz packages. He said they'll have no idea where we're coming from, and that's been the case. Dominique Davis has been confused all afternoon long.
Nick Ferrara getting ready to kick off for the Terps. John Williams waits back inside his 5. And the cardinal sin of kickers kick the kickoff out of bounds, so they get it at the 40.
I just do not understand that. I mean, how hard is it? You've got 53 yards to kick it between? You can't do that?
And remember, they didn't even have Dwayne Harris, their superstar returner, back there. It's not like they're kicking away from Harris anymore.
Kickoff out of bounds. Kicking deep. Ball placed at the 40-yard line. First down.
Ralph Friedgen coaching his final game at Maryland after 10 seasons, announced on December 20th that he would not be back. That they are not, they did. They bought out the final year of his contract. And he is trying to go out with a victory in his last game. See how East Carolina responds after the interception. Davis continues to throw it short, this time to Lance Lewis. Trenton Hughes stops him after a 4-yard gain.
And this will be a great barometer for me to see how Dominique Davis responds to this type of adversity. Obviously, throughout his career, he's been through a lot of adversity, but in this game alone, we'll see if he's able to bounce back.
Maryland bringing more pressure. Moten, number 1, leaps, can't get to him. There's a one-on-one coverage with all that pressure. Lewis was locked up one-on-one with Hughes, but the pass couldn't get to him. They finally take a shot downfield.
Finally, they move the ball vertically down the field, and Dominique Davis, buying just enough time to get rid of it, had a wide open defender down the field. But a lot of times you hear that traffic around your feet, it throws you off, your timing, your accuracy. But another missed opportunity for East Carolina.
Brings up a 3rd and 6. And that one is thrown behind his intended receiver, Jeremy Davis, who just got a hand on it. Now some of the East Carolina fans in front of us booing, starting to boo a little bit. The long pass play today for East Carolina, 14 yards.
Well, really, it looks like every time you prepare for games, you have blitz drills when you practice against the blitz. And it looks like East Carolina didn't spend enough time getting ready for Maryland's blitz package. I mean, they're just off. They're off target. They're off timing. Everything's been a struggle.
Ben Ryan running around a little bit and then kicks it towards Tony Logan, who's a great punt returner, and that's going to work out quite well for the Pirates. Logan has a couple of punt return touchdowns on the season, didn't get anywhere near that one. 41-yard punt. Maryland with the ball when we come back.
ESPN College Football, the Military Bowl, is brought to you by Geico, saving people money on more than just car insurance, and the Capital One Venture Card. What's in your wallet?
We're in Washington, D.C., a very moving memorial, the Iwo Jima Memorial. Let's go down to the field. Quentin Kesnick has more on some very brave people.
You are looking at a sign that was made for Anthony Vera by his family. Anthony Vera right now is watching this game from Walter Reed Hospital. He's a huge ECU fan. This is his wife, Shauna, and there's a little pirate under here, Scarlett. That's his daughter. Anthony was injured in Afghanistan, and he is rehabbing right now at Walter Reed. And Shauna, you have a special message for him.
I do. I just want to let you know how much we miss you. We love you so much, and we are so proud of you. We'll see you in a little bit, okay? Yes.
Anthony was a member of the 101st Airborne in Afghanistan, injured in September, and he has started his physical rehabilitation at Walter Reed, and he is watching right now. He's a huge Pirates fan.
Thank you very much, Quint. Not much going on there. Taylor Watson, a fullback who does not get a lot of carries. In fact, that's just his 6th of the season. This is the Military Bowl, first year that Northrop Grumman has sponsored it. And USO, the charitable partner, and Walter Reed, there's Scarlett. A lot of Pirate fans probably wish they could close their eyes on this game right about now. But Walter Reed is not far off from Washington, D.C. Maryland, the players will go there. Ralph Friedgen told us they'll go 2 or 3 times a year and to visit these young men and women who sacrifice everything. And they are being applauded and celebrated here today. Darrell Scott broke an arm tackle and got at least a couple of yards on that play. Melvin Patterson made the stop.
And you can't say enough, how much gratitude we have for soldiers like Anthony and the jobs they do and putting their lives on the line for our country and our freedom. You never can say thank you enough to those young men
and women.
And women.
3rd and 8. East Carolina's defense has done a pretty good job today. They are showing blitz. And another flag.
False start. Number 71 offense. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Paul Pinniger, the right tackle, a former walk-on at Maryland. Actually was a busboy at a restaurant where Ralph Friedgen used to visit, and he would get all excited when the fridge would come in to eat. Not because of, because the fridge was coming in. He wanted to play at Maryland, and eventually was able to get onto the team, and here he is. He's an honorable mention all-conference player.
And play he has. I mean, he's been all across the line, played almost every position across the board, and done a great job. And as of late, filling in that right tackle spot. Played center, played guard.
Called the MVP of the team by Friedgen earlier this season because of his versatility on the line. 3rd and 13, O'Brien airing it out, and he's got a receiver who could not bring it in. Kevin Dorsey, who caught a touchdown pass back in the first quarter, had a chance.
Danny O'Brien looking down the field, taking a shot. Great ball, great throw. Kevin Dorsey, got to wonder if he's worried about where the 1st-yard marker is. Took his eyes off just for that split second. Just that little lack of concentration, just flat out dropped it.
Travis Baltz with the punt. Dwayne Harris fields it. This is the danger. This is the talent that we expected from Harris. Every time he touches the ball, he can go. And that time he took it all the way down to the 15-yard line, a 39-yard punt, and a sparkling 37-yard return.
Dwayne Harris, when you watch him run, it's kind of like ho-hum, doesn't do a lot, but then watch the turn up the field right there, just that little cut, and then turns up the jets and takes it down. And hopefully Dwayne Harris provides the spark that East Carolina so desperately needs.
Darren Drakeford helping to save a touchdown. Harris 5th in the nation in all-purpose yards per game, averaging over 170 yards between catches and returns. East Carolina by far their best field position. Average yards per completion just under 6.
Well, Maryland's had such a great advantage getting great starting field position. The first time all day, East Carolina's had that advantage.
By far the best position, and that could have been intercepted again. Lance Lewis got a hand on it.
Well, the time off has greatly affected this East Carolina team. Their timing, their accuracy, their ability to just catch and throw the football. Lance Lewis trying to run a little slip screen, stumbles out of his break, and almost another disaster. That ball gets tipped up in the air.
Maryland had an interception on a tip ball earlier in the game. This is the farthest East Carolina has penetrated into Maryland territory all day. 2nd and 10. More blitz from the Terps. Davis unloads in a hurry and throws it short towards Bodenheimer. So a 3rd and 10 upcoming. Dominique Davis, 1st in the nation in points per game accounted for, 1/10 of a point more than Heisman Trophy winner Cam Newton.
Dominique Davis has accounted for 45 touchdowns for this offense. 2nd in the country behind Cam Newton's 49.
And 0 today. And a bad snap, flags are down. It's going to be against East Carolina.
A snap infraction, number 75 of the offense. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Corey Dallas, usually the left guard, playing center today. Dalton Falls, the usual center, ineligible to play today. And there's what we were just talking about. Dominique Davis just ahead of Cam Newton. Colin Kaepernick, the great quarterback at Nevada, at number 3.
And we'll have to see if Dominique Davis can channel a little of that Cam Newton magic here in the 2nd half, because he has not had much fortune this afternoon.
Davis and Newton, I don't know if you saw in the bottom of that graphic, faced each other in the Junior College National Championship game last year. Talk about talent on the field. Pressure from Maryland, throwing it up towards the corner of the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown. Over-the-shoulder catch by Lance Lewis, and the Pirates have scored.
Well, the 3rd time is the charm on that fade route to the left side of the field. Lance Lewis Great grab, using his hands and just enough presence of mind to drag that foot over the pylon for the touchdown. That was the one area that Don Brown was worried about. So they have big, tall receivers. Size advantage one there.
Barbour adds the extra point. Lewis, 6'3", 200.
Lance Lewis looking it in with his eyes. The best receivers always are very aware of where they are on the field. And you saw his field presence giving that kick to get the touchdown.
East Carolina, something to cheer about, including Christopher Kennedy, a senior airman stationed in Bagram, Afghanistan. There he is in Afghanistan posing with the flag. And senior airman Kennedy, no doubt enthused by that great catch by Lance Lewis. All right, the extra point not on the board because they're not going to count the kick. They're going to go back and review whether or not this was a touchdown.
Spectacular body control by Lance Lewis. Let's say he has possession, clearly has the ball, kicks the pylon. I think it's a touchdown. I guess the biggest question, if the ball broke the plane of the end zone, maybe a centimeter off, but.
The ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
Give credit to Lance Lewis for his 14th touchdown catch of the season. And that elongates his East Carolina single-season record for touchdown catches.
So now they'll have to go back and kick it again. Should be a mere formality.
Barbour, who started his career at Maryland, transfer from Oyster Bay, Long Island. Billy Joel's from Oyster Bay, I believe. You know who he is, right?
Look at you, the music. Look at you, the music aficionado.
It's an old reference. Barbour does indeed kick it through. Terrific catch by Lewis. East Carolina down 23-10. Lance Lewis with a 20-yard touchdown catch gives East Carolina its first touchdown. Let's go down to the field with a report from Quint Kesnick.
Well, we are joined by Elaine Rogers. She's the president and CEO of the USO here in Metropolitan D.C. A special day for the USO. What stands out in your mind about the festivities?
Well, we have over thousands of military and their families here, and a lot of wounded warriors and their families. And we have our newest USO volunteers here, the team members from both teams. We took them to military installations to do USO programs, and then up to Walter Reed to visit with our wounded warrior. So it's quite a day.
Why is the USO so important?
Well, it's really the American public's way of saying thank you to our military, and having this bowl and companies like Northrop Grumman and all the companies, all this money that is being raised is going back into USO programs, and we're building new USO facilities here for our wounded warriors. So USO is really a key ingredient to really tell our military, we care about you, we will never forget you, we're here for you.
Thank you, Elaine. You are the cheerleader for the USO, no question.
USO, the charitable partner in this bowl game, the Military Bowl. It's a non-profit, congressionally chartered private organization that relies on the generosity of donations from people and really makes a difference in the lives of service members. Torrey Smith had the return back to the 30-yard line. And there's a run for Darrell Scott, picks up 4 yards for the Maryland Terrapins.
Pam, I got to tell you, I'm pleasantly surprised with the job East Carolina's defense has done. You got to give defensive coordinator Brian Mitchell for taking advantage of some opportunities in the time off up to this game to get guys healthy, to coach up some of the young players on this East Carolina defense. If you take away the one big play on the touchdown, and then they handed the turnover that Dominique Davis had, gave Maryland the ball on the 1-yard line. Other than those 2 scores, East Carolina's right in the thick of things.
Brian Mitchell, the defensive coordinator. First time he's ever been a defensive coordinator. He's 42 years old and came over. He was part of that Texas Tech staff that came over Ruffin McNeil was the defensive coordinator and then got the head coaching job. Did interview twice for the Texas Tech job, and then ECU called. He's back at his alma mater. That's Max Garcia from Maryland, a 6'4", 290-pound true freshman. They had to burn his shirt a couple of games ago because of injuries along the offensive line. Very promising young man. They really wanted to redshirt him, but they couldn't because of injuries to others.
And that's one thing Ralph Friedgen has always been kind of outspoken about, is the redshirting. You know, he wishes guys could play in 3 or 4 games and not have to burn an entire year of eligibility.
2nd and 6 for the Terps. Keeping the ball on the ground. Scott picks his way to a first down. Darrell Scott running up to the 45-yard line. Andrew Ganella, number 77, with a good block, and now Scott is slow to get up.
Andrew Ganella, number 77. You see him, the pulling guard up front, providing some running room for Darrell Scott, who comes up a little gimpy at the end of the play. Looks like he's grabbing his hamstring.
Scott, the senior from Pennsylvania, ran for over 1,100 yards in 2008 and then broke his arm in 2009, was limited to only 5 games. Derailed his career for a little bit. Ran for over 500 yards this season for the Terps. Meggett now the tailback. He gets it, dances his way through a hole, and is met head on by a lot of Pirates, including Dustin Lineback. Lineback, the former walk-on, wears number 47 for one of his heroes. He liked the way John Lynch played safety. Not a bad guy to pattern yourself after.
Not at all. He was a former teammate of mine in Denver and an outstanding safety and future Hall of Famer. And Lineback definitely has modeled himself after a consummate professional.
Lineback leading his team in tackles this season. Maryland's offense going heavily towards the run in this game.
Well, I think John Donovan has relied on that when things were a little sloppy early. Just go to that ground game.
Torrey Smith with the football. He's not really gotten things going offensively. Their big threat who could very well be playing his final collegiate game.
There's the play caller from Maryland, John Donovan. East Carolina's fans have got into this game all of a sudden. A great catch by Lance Lewis provided a spark, and now they're hoping their defense can step up in a big way on a 3rd down situation.
3rd and 11. O'Brien has to retreat under great pressure, dumps it off to Meggett, and Meggett's legs do all the work. David Meggett, fast as lightning, gets all the way down to the 24-yard line. 31 yards on 3rd and 11.
When you've got a screen drawn up, you dream that the team would try to blitz you. All they're going to do is slip out the running back on a screen, but watch all the defenders coming for East Carolina. Meggett's able to get outside, and when you get that, you get the numbers mismatched. You get some of your big offensive linemen out in front in space, and they're able to capitalize.
Perfect play call with that defense. Adams' turn to run the ball. He has 2 rushing touchdowns so far today for Maryland. Picked up 1 yard on that play.
When you run a screen, you want the defense to think they've got you. They want you to think they have a sack. Draw them towards you as the quarterback, and then just dump it off, an easy throw.
Second and 9. O'Brien, Rookie of the Year in the ACC this year. The average yards per completion going up for the Terps. Now, a little play action. O'Brien rolls and hits his tight end, Furstenberg, who had a catch back in the first quarter. That one's good for 12 yards and another Maryland first down. Furstenberg had a 29-yard catch back in the first quarter.
Well, on that catch, too, Danny O'Brien had him wide open. But at that time, Matt Furstenberg was in a lot of traffic. O'Brien had to zero in on him and delivered a very accurate pass.
Darrell Scott behind Taylor Watson, the fullback. Scott with the carry, little stutter step, cut inside, and he Picks up about 2 yards. Melvin Patterson coming up to make the stop for the Pirates.
And at this point in the game for East Carolina, you've got to step up and somehow find a way to hold this Maryland offense to just a field goal if you still want to have a chance. Got to look to guys like Josh Smith, your big defensive tackle in the middle, your MVP of your defense. Somebody's got to step up and make a play.
O'Brien throwing it over the middle, complete to Tony Logan, who's a very good punt returner for Maryland, and he is close to a first down. It was only the 3rd catch of the season for Logan. Maryland down a couple of receivers, Ronnie Tyler and Quentin McCree, among 4 Terrapins who were academically ineligible and could not participate today. So just short of the first down. Adams cuts inside, gets the first down, and is stopped just short of the goal line. McClendon makes the tackle to keep him out of the end zone.
And I think in this second half, we're starting to see some of the weaknesses in East Carolina's defense. I think one of the biggest issues they have is a lack of depth. These guys have been on the field for a long time, and they're starting to get pushed around a little bit by Maryland's offensive line.
First and goal. Adams gets in for the 3rd time today.
And Maryland's backfield continues to impress me with the 3 weapons they have back there. DJ Adams obviously having the biggest number because he's getting the touchdowns, but a lot of those other guys are doing a lot of work for him as well. It's pretty good 1, 2, and 3 punch.
Waltz adds the extra point. Maryland extends its lead back to 20 points. 3 touchdown runs, all from 1 yard out for DJ Adams, Ralph Friedgen's final game on the sideline at the University of Maryland. New Year's Day on ESPN, number 5 Wisconsin takes on unbeaten TCU in the Horned Frogs' first Rose Bowl game appearance. Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio on ESPN New Year's Day. Coverage begins at 4:30 Eastern. The game also available on ESPN Radio, ESPN3.com, and on your mobile phone. Wisconsin, talk about a team that can score some points.
Went over 80.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see that a whole lot.
4th in the country in scoring, averaging just over 43 points per game. And TCU, an unbeaten school.
Andy Dalton's had quite a career, looks to finish it up with a strong point.
So you have that great offense that scores over 43 points a game against the leading defense in TCU, giving up, what, 11.3 points per game? So that'll be interesting to see what gives in that one.
I don't know if TCU's defense has faced a challenge like they're going to with Wisconsin's offensive line.
I would say that's probably likely, but that's why we play the game. Ferrara kicks it off to Harris, who is back there to gather in the kick. Finds a seam and is taken down around the 30-yard line. 22-yard return for Harris, senior, who has been a terrific special teams performer in his career at East Carolina.
Well, the one thing you can't say about East Carolina's offense is that they do have the ability to strike quickly. They can put up points on the board in a hurry, and that's what they're going to have to do if they want to stay in this game.
4 minutes and 25 seconds left to go in the 3rd quarter. Dominique Davis. Over the middle, completes it for about a 6-yard gain to Justin Jones. One of the possession wide receivers on this team. Quickly to the line. A lot of East Carolina folks here. Only BYU has better attendance among the non-automatic qualifier schools, or the non-BCS schools, if you will. And they did lead Conference USA in attendance, and there was a ton of purple here in Washington, D.C. A lot of Pirate fans we have seen the last couple of days. Maryland brings the blitz again. It's picked up, and they get a first down. Jones with a 2nd straight catch into Maryland territory. down to the 46-yard line. It's a nice 17-yard pass play.
Justin Jones at 6 feet 8 inches tall, 252 pounds. I mean, you have a mismatch against whoever he's going against.
6'8". Huge target with 2 straight catches. Davis has to retreat because of the blitz, dumps it down near the line of scrimmage. They're going to lose a yard or 2 on that play. Jonathan Williams coming up with the catch. Williams actually the 3rd leading receiver on the team this year as a running back.
And East Carolina trying to run their own little halfback screen. Maryland blitzed that time, but just Maryland's defenses look so athletic today, and their speed and quickness allowed them to get the tackle for the loss.
2nd and 12 for the Pirates. Maryland does not send the blitz this time, and there's a completion to Dwayne Harris, and he gets close to the first down. Picked up 11, going to be about a yard short of the first down from the mark. And the Pirates quickly back up to the line.
All day long, this is what East Carolina has seen. Guys up around the line of scrimmage.
Davis with time throws it high, but a terrific effort by Harris, ruled out of bounds and incomplete.
Well, Lincoln Riley called Dwayne Harris maybe one of the best wide receivers in the entire country. Just comes down with a foot out of bounds, but a spectacular grab nonetheless.
That was a great grab, and he almost got his foot down. So here comes East Carolina going for it again on 4th down. 3rd time today they've gone for it on 4th down.
Lincoln Riley directing traffic from the sideline, giving Dominique Davis a play that he thinks will work.
They just need a yard. Flags are down. And it could be a delay of game. They didn't get the snap off in time.
Prior to the snap, delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
And Ruffin McNeil is hot about that, as is Lincoln Riley. He's out on the field now.
Well, it was getting close, but even Ruffin McNeil. Right there, you see it in the middle of your screen, and it was a little bit late.
I'd venture to say that doesn't happen very often in East Carolina, the way they get up to the line and snap the ball. And that obviously was a crucial time. Boy, it was 4th and 1, and now it's 4th and 6, and they're still going for it down 20. And another whistle.
The clock should have started on the snap. Can the game clock operator please put the clock to 2:07?
5 seconds off the clock, just like that. Maryland brings everybody on the blitz, one-on-one coverage, and a pass perfectly dropped into the hands of Lance Lewis. Oh, what a throw by Dominique Davis on 4th down.
Here comes the pressure. Maryland brings everybody. One-on-one fade route on the outside. Dominique Davis, perfectly thrown touch pass. Gives Lance Lewis another opportunity to run underneath one. Huge conversion for East Carolina.
31 yards, longest play from scrimmage this afternoon for East Carolina.
That's the risk you take when you bring the house. You've got one-on-one matchups outside.
First down from the 11, and another false start penalty against East Carolina.
False start. Number 69 on the offense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Double-digit penalties for the Pirates. 18 penalties total. 2/3 of them called against East Carolina, and they've come in some pretty crucial times. Like right here, you're knocking on the door. Lincoln Riley.
Even though they overcome it a lot of the times too. I mean, they overcame the delay of game.
Davis into the corner of the end zone. That is thrown out of bounds. Trenton Hughes blanketing Lance Lewis. Fans are booing, but that was not a catchable ball.
And this is obviously a matchup that Lincoln Riley, the offensive coordinator for East Carolina, has found and likes. Got Lance Lewis at 6'3", Trenton Hughes at 5'11", really working that fade route in this second half. I think the best thing you can do for Trenton Hughes is get him off the ball a little bit, let him see the fade route coming so he has a chance to defend it.
31 of those 64 pass yards on that drive on the 4th down fade. Throws it outside. It is juggled and then caught by Williams. Jonathan Williams out of the backfield, tackled down by Hughes. Picked up only about a yard on that play. Drive started back on East Carolina's 30-yard line. Now, a 3rd down from the 14. Davis got rid of it just as he was being rushed. It went off the hands of Lance Lewis. Kenny Tate coming in from his safety position. But that ball had a lot of heat on it.
Well, once again, Maryland brings the pressure. Lance Lewis, the top of your screen. You got to catch that. Hits you right in the face mask. You got to find a way to come down with that in a crucial situation for your team.
Michael Barbour, who was hit from 37, comes in to try one from 31 yards out. Trying to go over 100 points on the season. School record for the former Maryland Terrapin, now an East Carolina Pirate, and he is 2 for 2. East Carolina has to settle for 3, and they now trail Maryland 30-13. Capital One Bowl week continues tonight. All-American and Big 12 Player of the Year Justin Blackmon leads number 14 Oklahoma State against number 11 Arizona, quarterbacked by Nick Foles in the Valero Alamo Bowl. Capital One Bowl week tonight at 9:15 Eastern on ESPN, also on ESPN Radio, online at ESPN3.com, and you can also catch it on your mobile phone. So many options for one game tonight at 9:15.
No excuses to miss 1 minute of the action. At this point in the game, if you're Maryland, you've got to at least be aware of an onside kick, because East Carolina's defense hasn't been able to stop Maryland's offense. They've got to find some way to get the football back.
That last drive ate up 5 minutes and 19 seconds for East Carolina. 11 plays, 69 yards, but only came away with 3 points. They need touchdowns. Torrey Smith waits inside his 5 for the Ben Ryan kickoff. Smith gathers it in, breaks away from a pack of Pirates, and eventually is driven out of bounds around the 40-yard line. 33-yard return for the terrifically talented Torrey Smith. Leonard Paulk helping to get him out of bounds.
Torrey Smith, the all-time leader kick return yardage for the ACC, showcasing a little bit of his talents there. I mean, both these teams have exceptional return men.
Field position battle getting better for East Carolina. Maryland starting on average from its own 44. Started a couple of drives in East Carolina territory, but were unable to get any points off of the first 3 East Carolina turnovers. Danny O'Brien under center. Hands it off. Darrell Scott is going. And nobody's going to catch it. Touchdown, Terrapins.
You talk about quickness and speed. You run the draw play to try to catch teams off guards. Just enough of a play-action pass, and man, that is a hole you could drive a truck through right there. Paul Pinniger and Justin Lewis, the right side of that line. Outstanding job creating separation for Darrell Scott.
61-yard touchdown run for the senior. Vaults his extra point, makes it 37-13 Maryland. With that run, Scott now 11 carries for 102 yards, hitting the century mark in his final game as a Terp. Darrell, before this game, said he's going to come in this game, want to fight for Ralph Friedgen, his head coach, who's coaching his last game. And he said he wants to make sure that Coach Friedgen goes out with a bang. And with a run like that, that was a bang run. That was a quick. Boy, you're right. The speed that he showed on that after the huge hole from Lewis and Pinniger.
I mean, he ran the little delay, and all of a sudden he took off, and he was off the screen. It was unbelievable how quick he hit that. And that was the one thing, the one concern you had for Maryland coming in here, because on paper they were supposed to be the better team, but was it how are they going to handle the distraction of the Ralph Friedgen, you know, the whole his going out, his tenure coming to an end at Maryland, but they've done a spectacular job of taking care of business on the field and sending their coach off the way they wanted to.
That was your first key for them, was could they focus on football? And I think the answer is yes. Nick Ferraro kicking off to Dwayne Harris. Harris takes it. Gets around a couple of players on the far end of the field. Had to run a long way to take it up around the 38-yard line. East Carolina inside a minute left to go in the third quarter. Trailing Maryland 37-13. Dominique Davis, his first year at East Carolina, started the last 4 games as a redshirt freshman at Boston College. His first start actually was against Maryland, and he beat them at Chestnut Hill. In that game, 12 of 24 for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that win clinched the ACC championship game appearance for Boston College. Then he was declared, he actually went on academic suspension, wound up at a junior college last year, and here he is at East Carolina. Good news is he'll be back next year. Zips that one out to Lance Lewis. And Lewis is near the first down marker.
The thing that Dominique Davis is most proud of is you can put aside all the stats on the field aside, but his 3.3 GPA that he posted this fall semester, something he's extremely proud of and works hard for.
With his touchdown pass today to Lance Lewis, he has 37 touchdowns on the season, averaging over 3 per game coming in, or exactly 3 per game coming in. Maryland was offside, so a free play. Bodenheimer makes the catch. Just have to see if Maryland was drawn.
Offside, number 95 defense. In the neutral zone at the snap. The 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
Justin Anderson offsides. Fridge gets a fresh stick of gum on the sidelines. Working that gum if you're a head coach.
It's been an emotionally draining week for Ralph Friedgen. I mean, even when we spoke to him on the conference call, almost broke down a couple times. You could tell. I mean, he's on the verge of just all the emotions coming to fruition.
Said he's not gotten a lot of sleep since he was told on December 20th that he would not be back next year to coach the Terps. It was official at that time. Ruffin with the carry, stopped by Adrian Moten. Friedgen in his 10th and final season. Welcome back to the Military Bowl presented by Northrop Grumman. Maryland fans coming out in force to say thank you to Ralph Friedgen, their head coach, who is going out right now very well. Maryland, as we head to the fourth quarter, leading East Carolina 37-13. The Pirates have it, though, at midfield, 2nd and 3. Moten coming on the pressure, and that pass is incomplete. Davis had to get rid of it in a hurry. Dwayne Harris, number 17, the intended receiver.
Pam, I've really been impressed with defensive coordinator Don Brown's game plan that he's drawn up today for this prolific passing attack of East Carolina. They've been stymied most of the afternoon, and Don Brown has put together a magnificent game plan.
Second year as the defensive coordinator at Maryland, spent 5 years at the head coach, had great success at the University of Massachusetts. That pass complete near the first down marker to Lance Lewis. Forward progress will give East Carolina the first down. Maryland players shaken up on the field. Is Avery Graham, while he is attended to. Let's take a look at tonight's game track, brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Maryland forcing 3 turnovers, so +3 today, +16 for the season. Moten jumping on that fumble. Danny O'Brien hooking up with Kevin Dorsey, and then the three-headed monster, the running backs for Maryland, doing a great job between Scott, Megan, and Adams. 29 carries for 185 yards and 4 touchdowns. That one from Darrell Scott, a 61-yard run that gave Maryland this 37-13 lead. Avery Graham, redshirt freshman from Clarksburg, Maryland, being looked at by the Maryland medical staff. And while they take a look at him, we will take a quick break and get you right back to Washington, D.C. Welcome back to Washington. Avery Graham, the Maryland defensive back, able to walk off under his own power, being attended to over on the sideline. And now we play on. 14:48 left to go in the fourth quarter. First down for East Carolina. Davis has to get rid of it quickly. Perfectly thrown to Lewis. And now Lance Lewis turns on the Jets. He eventually chased down by Wojak. But that's an 18-yard gain and a first down.
Maryland's been bringing people from all over that place. That time they brought a corner blitz. Dominique Davis able to find Lance Lewis on a quick adjustment route for one of the bigger plays of the game for East Carolina. That's just one thing they haven't been able to do, is take advantage of the opportunities when Maryland blitzes. Which has been frequent.
Yeah, I was going to say that. They've been doing it, it seems like, on just about every play. But doing it with different combinations, coming from different sides. Running play. Not much room on the right side for Giovanni Ruffin. And he is shaken up. Isaiah Ross made the stop for the Terps. Mentioned Don Brown, the defensive coordinator for Maryland. When he was a head coach at the University of Massachusetts, he played Texas Tech, or UMass played Texas Tech. So he was familiar with what Mike Leach had done, and a lot of that offense went north to East Carolina with his staff.
5 of 6 offensive coaches came with Ruffin McNeil. Lincoln Riley, the youngest offensive coordinator in the country at just 27 years, but at 27 years old, but he's got 5 assistants that join him. So the philosophy is there, the continuity, the communication, everything kind of flowed into the system. That's why they've had so much success this year as an offense.
And while they are taking a look at Giovanni Ruffin, let's head back to the studio and an update from Wendy Nix.
Pam, thank you very much. Coming up right after the game, Nathan Schillhouse and the Illini getting set to face Baylor in the Texas Bowl. Coming up on ESPN, neither Illinois or Baylor have won a bowl game in the 2000s, but that will change for one team tonight. Pam?
All right, Wendy, thanks a lot. Wendy's going to be there all day, all night, taking care of our studio coverage. Robert Smith also in studio with her. Illinois and Baylor, a couple of teams. Robert Griffin, boy, he's a fun guy to watch. I love watching that quarterback for Baylor.
He is pretty exciting. One of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the country. He gets a lot of talk as a dual threat, but he's a pretty good flat-out pocket passer as well.
Second and 8. Ruffin able to get off the field. Davis has to throw off his back foot, and he still completes it. Justin Jones with the catch and run inside the 5-yard line.
East Carolina's offense finally able to get some rhythm going in the second half. Been on their heels most of the time, but they're finally able to find some receivers running open in space. That's the 6'8" Justin Jones making another reception, but East Carolina needs to finish off these drives and put 7 points on the board.
22 big yards on that play to Jones, who has made some nice catches here in the second half. Davis off the hands of his intended receiver that time, Dwayne Harris.
How many times all afternoon have we seen Dominic Davis having to retreat because there's a free Maryland defender coming after him in the pocket? Once again on that one, trying to get rid of it quickly. Couldn't find Dwayne Harris through the traffic.
He's had to throw the ball 48 times this afternoon. Has 31 completions for 258 yards, 1 touchdown, a couple of picks. Second and goal. Into the end zone, and there's a flag. Lance Lewis, the intended receiver. They got Hughes, but the question, you have to wonder if that ball was catchable. It landed well out of bounds.
Automatic first down.
It's about the 5th time they've tried the fade route in the corner of the end zone to Lance Lewis. He gets tackled. The ball was a little out of bounds, but if he's able to jump, I think he might have at least had a chance to catch it, but he's got an arm around his neck. Not much you can do there.
Penalty makes it 1st and goal from the 2. Running for the end zone. What a tackle. Antoine Perez tackling Jonathan Williams just as he was about to cross the goal line. Perez is a little bit slow getting up, but what an effort by Perez, because it looked for all the world like Williams was going to score.
Maryland going to bring pressure up the middle. East Carolina gets a lucky break with the play call to the outside, and Antoine Perez gets the shoelace tackle, and then on the celebration comes up Gimpy. A little excited, doing a little high step in there. Uh-oh. All of a sudden, they're dropping like flies the last few plays. Even I think he's laughing about it a little bit.
Made a terrific play, but you might want to wait on the celebration.
Rethink your technique there.
Might just want to say okay and get back to the huddle. Perez is a senior, has his undergraduate degree. Ruffin back in at running back on 2nd and goal. Davis zips it into the end zone, and it is incomplete. Dwayne Harris, the intended receiver.
When we talked to offensive coordinator Lincoln Riley, he said there was room for improvement with Dominique Davis to get better. One of the things he said is he could be a little bit more accurate with his passers, and I think that was an example there. Dwayne Harris, there was a tight window, and down here in the red zone, you've got to make those tight throws. It was there, but the throw was just a little off target.
Brings up a 3rd and goal from the 1. And Maryland with the big defensive stop, Zachariah Kerr grabbing Ruffin and dropping him for a loss.
Well, the last time they called a run, they got lucky. The run went to the outside. This time, Ruffin tries to cut up inside, but Maryland blitzed middle linebackers right up the gut. And not only that, they had Zachariah Kerr at 6'2", 330 pounds, providing some pressure as well.
After the penalty, East Carolina had it 1st and goal from the 2. Now they got it down to the 1, and now they have it 4th and goal, close to the 3-yard line, and they are going. Flag down.
Delay game. 5-yard penalty on the offense. 4th down.
The 13th penalty and the 2nd delay of game call against East Carolina this afternoon.
It's got to be frustrating for Ruffin McNeil as he watches on and sees how many meaningless, just dumb penalties that his team has had this afternoon. He's got to be very frustrated. But the one thing about this offense that might work to their advantage, they have a little more space to work with this pass-happy offense.
4th and goal from the 7. And Davis throws it to Ruffin, his running back, and he had no chance. Demetrius Hartsfield among many Terrapins who were able to make the tackle. And Maryland gets the football on downs. They lost a yard on that play. Let's go back to the very first game that Maryland played this year was against Navy. Back on September 6th, 34 seconds left on the clock, and on a 4th down, Navy goes for it. Number 6, Kenny Tate with a huge stop, and Maryland stunned Navy, winning 17-14, breaking a 7-game losing streak. That was a 4th down stop. We just saw Don Brown's defense with another 4th down stop.
And Don Brown said that was kind of a momentum shifter from them coming off a season 2-10. They get that first win on the board, and they come out and really turn things around.
Darrell Scott, 61-yard touchdown already. 1 man to beat. Darrell Scott, the senior. He is gone.
Darrell Scott will never forget his last game as a Maryland Terrapin. You see the type of explosiveness he has as a running back. Not only once, but twice in this game has broken off huge plays. And how about that hole? Only has to break 1 tackle, but up front, Bennett Fulper and Justin Lewis, his center and right guard. Fantastic job opening up space for him to run in. The celebration starts early. Some of the ball boys got to get out of the way before they get run over. Unbelievable day for Darrell Scott.
Baltz with the extra point. Darrell Scott had a 61-yard touchdown run. Took that and raised it 30. A 91-yard touchdown run. He has 193 yards on the ground. Maryland running away from East Carolina, up 44-13. There is another penalty flag down.
PAT, after the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct on number 10 of the defense. The 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the succeeding kickoff.
That's Emmanuel Davis, wearing number 10, usually number 38, but his jersey was ripped in the first half. What a game for Darrell Scott and the Terps.
ESPN College Football, the Military Bowl, is presented by Northrop Grumman, a leader in global security, and in part by Eagle Bank. And Discover, it pays to discover, official card of the Bowl Championship Series.
The National Mall here in the beautiful city of Washington, D.C., the Korean War Memorial downtown. We wish all of you happy holidays. Pam Ward along with Danny Cannell and Quint Kesnick. It is Darrell Scott Day here in Washington, D.C. There's Testudo, the Terrapin mascot. Lots of cheering. That kick from Ferrara goes in and out of the end zone for a touchback. Dari Noka is now in the studio. Hello, Dari.
Hello, Pam. Good to be with you. Don't forget, coming up next, we're talking top of the hour. Baylor's first bowl game since the 1994 season. They were a Southwest Conference team. Now, just down the road from Waco in Houston as they get set for Illinois in the Texas Bowl. Should be a fun one. And it's next on ESPN.
All right, Robert Griffin going to do some stuff. Thank you, Dari. The Maryland backfield has been terrific. Darrell Scott on the right. And that is his successor next year. Number 10, DJ Adams, just a redshirt freshman. And we have seen some terrific flashes from that young man. He has 3 touchdowns today, does DJ, all from 1 yard out. Darrell's like, mine are a little bit longer than those. Davis has been under duress running all day. Moten that time was after him, along with Kenny Tate. Maryland on the ground, 273 rushing yards today. Almost 200 of them for Darrell Scott. Ralph Friedgen looking on. What will be a victorious final game for him, barring a miraculous comeback by the Pirates. Davis throwing that one up to Lewis. That's been his best play. He caught it, but he was out of bounds. Davis with some nice loft is able to dump those in pretty nicely to his receiver.
He's had to throw them so early all afternoon because he's had guys in his grill. I mean, he's got to get it up and out. Try to give Lewis a chance to run under it, but when you do that, you're under duress. You're going to toss a few out of bounds like he did there.
Comes up at 3rd and 10.
How about this defense? Maryland's schoolyard defense. They all line up, don't really give you a chance to see where they're coming from.
Ojak's coming on the blitz. That one zipped out. Nice catch, but boy, Jeremy Davis had to go way high to bring it in. But
that's pretty unbelievable. Is that Don Brown still has a few tricks up his sleeve. I mean, he's been showing things different all afternoon, and still you see one more new look, and it's great talking to him. He's very enthusiastic and still says he has a lot of football ahead of him. Not quite sure where he's going to end up next year, but said in the 2nd year of his tenure, the Maryland defense finally gets his philosophy, and it's shown today.
Terrific strides for the Maryland defense from last year, a team that won 2 games last year. Ryan kicking it. Doesn't want Tony Logan to have a chance to return it. Ralph Friedgen in his final game on the sidelines. It's been a happy one so far for Maryland. Head coach Ralph Friedgen in his 10th year at Maryland, going out the way he came in as the ACC Coach of the Year. Lots of fans with handmade signs thanking Friedgen for taking this program to levels they had not seen in a very, very long time. They had success under Bobby Ross, some under Jerry Claiborne, but he really took a moribund program and made it relevant and successful again. Danny O'Brien taking a shot to Torrey Smith, and it is intercepted. Smith had a chance to make the catch, but Bradley Jacobs came up with it. Jacobs, a player who the defensive coaches love. They said he's made a lot of improvement, has a great IQ for football, comes up with the pick.
Torrey Smith would love to have one more chance at that ball. Just a smidgen underthrown, kind of on his back shoulder pad, gets tipped up.
Looked like Travis Simmons got a hand in there to affect that. But a good interception by Jacobs. That's the 2nd pick for East Carolina today. And if the score holds up, this is going to be the first game in which Danny O'Brien has thrown at least 1 pick and Maryland has won. Or they're 6-0 in games when he had not thrown a pick. Thrown a couple today, but they're looking good. Davis out of the end zone. Wojak had a chance, the senior middle linebacker. Dwayne Harris, excuse me, Harris was the intended receiver, Danny.
Wojak's a guy who's had an incredible career at Maryland. Just a warrior personality. Don Brown said he's the guy with the crazy hair coming out of his helmet. But he's had a couple interceptions returned for a touchdown this season. Been the The man in the middle for a long time for Maryland.
3 straight 100 tackle seasons. Ruffin taken down on that play by A.J. Francis. And Wojak with that tough guy is Wojak, kind of guy who get banged up. He says, Coach Brown says sometimes you see him on Sunday and you don't know how the kid can move. And he said by the next Saturday, he's running and flying all over the field again. Obviously, when you can make over 100 tackles, you're going to take a lot of hits during the football game. But the young man, a senior from the state of New Jersey, who will certainly get a look in the professional ranks. 3rd and 9. Davis gets stacked up by Demetrius Hartsfield. 5-yard gain, and the punt team comes out for the Pirates. Pirate offense stymied, 12th in the nation in scoring at 38 points per game, 7th in passing yards, and they have only 13 points to show for it. There's Wojak. He talked about the hair and the unique look. Looks like a middle linebacker.
Said he is a different man on Saturdays or Wednesday if you're playing the military.
Yeah, right. Whatever. It's always Saturday for Wojak.
In any case, game day.
Good job by Logan to corral that punt as it was about to scoot by him. 32-yard punt by Ryan. Wojak celebrating with Don Brown, his defensive coordinator. Feeling good about this. Maryland coaching timeline. Last month, Kevin Anderson, the new athletic director, said that Ralph Friedgen would come back and fulfill the last year of his contract. 12 days later, Friedgen was named the ACC Coach of the Year. Offensive coordinator James Franklin took the Vanderbilt head job after he was told he would not be the coach in waiting, but could interview for the job when it came up. And then Friedgen was told they were not going to renew his contract. He asked to be bought out at that point, and eventually he was. O'Brien's going to take another shot downfield, and that ball is incomplete. Kevin Dorsey locked up in a battle with Travis Simmons. And a lot of the East Carolina fans are not happy that Maryland's throwing the ball downfield up 44-13. Flag down, because we've had flags a lot.
87 offense. 15-yard penalty.
Holding on Maryland. What do you think about chucking the ball downfield at this point in time?
I think Maryland is making a statement for Ralph Friedgen. The players, the coaching staff. Ralph Friedgen is an offensive-minded coach, and if he goes out with a strong offensive performance, it kind of sends him off in the right way. I mean, just look at what he's done for this Maryland program. The turnaround seen in his tenure as head coach is pretty phenomenal.
Much better in the new decade. Darrell Scott back at running back, 193 yards with a couple of long touchdown runs, 61 and 91 yards this afternoon. Bryant over the middle, and that pass is incomplete. Will Yateman was the intended receiver, another penalty marker.
Pass interference, early contact on the defense. Ball be placed at the spot of the foul, automatic first down.
Let's go down to Quint Kesnick, who was on the sidelines and has a feel for some of the motions down there, Quint.
Yeah, Pam, after that last turnover, Andrew Ganello, who's a lineman from Maryland, came over and was telling his teammates, hey, let's keep playing. Let's put up 50. Let's put up 50. The feeling here is that this Maryland team was not happy with the way the bowl process went, the selection of the bowls, and the guys today wanted to make two statements, one for Coach Friedgen and one to the rest of the country, that they should have been picked by some other bowls.
They were tied for 3rd in the ACC. Scott gets another run as he's going to go over 200 yards on the ground this afternoon. But yet they dropped down to the 8th place bowl. And Ralph Friedgen made it perfectly clear to us on the call. This is not a slide. They're thrilled that the Military Bowl wanted him. Part of it was they knew that Maryland fans could travel. The campus is less than 20 miles from here. He's thrilled to be associated with, especially the Wounded Warriors and the USO and those great organizations. But how does a team that's 3rd in the ACC drop all the way to 8th, and a team like NC State, a team Maryland beat, play last night in Florida? Answer that question, Dan. That's the question that these guys want answered.
Well, I think a lot of it reflects on including the Ralph Friedgen getting bought out. It reflects on the big business that college football has become, and it's probably a side that a lot of people don't like to talk about or address. But really, when you're a head coach, it's not so much about wins and losses anymore. It's about ticket sales. It's about which bowl do you go to. It's just about so much more than just coaching X's and O's. I mean, they're making millions of dollars, and, you know, athletic directors, board of trustees, they expect a high return on their investment, whether you like it or not.
Adams gets the carry. They pull another flag.
Illegal block in the back, number 83 in the offense. 10-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Some of the signs in support of Ralph Friedgen. John Donovan calling the plays for Maryland, the running back coach. As James Franklin has gone down to be the head coach at Vanderbilt. Of course, these players would love to chuck it on every play. That we talked about that, but they're not calling the plays. They're going to have input. I mean, they're going to say, let's do it.
Well, I think Quint brought up some great points. The fact that, you know, the players feel a little bit slighted that they're here. I mean, every player wants to go to a bowl, but they've been reading about the other teams that they beat, like you mentioned, NC State playing last night in Orlando, and they're very well aware of that. And I think that's why they want to come out here, and that 50 is a very attainable goal at this point. I think they want to try to get that.
East Carolina, in its last 5 games coming into this, had allowed 55 points per game. Maryland with 44 as we hit about 7 minutes to go on 3rd and 11. O'Brien under duress, dumps it off to Laquan Williams, and he is stopped well short of the 1st down, only about a 3-yard gain on 3rd and 11. A lot of the fans yelling for Maryland to go for it, just hang on to the football. And they're keeping that offense out there. On 4th and 8. Danny O'Brien, the first time Maryland has had an ACC Rookie of the Year in the history of its football program. Dumps it to Meggett. He has a lot of running room, and Meggett gets the 1st down and more. David Meggett finally tracked down at the 19-yard line by Emmanuel Davis. They needed 8 yards and got 21.
Danny O'Brien dropping back, just finding a little flare pass to David Meggett. Gets some offensive linemen out in front of him. David Meggett, only 5'9", but shifty little running back. Can make guys miss. And Danny O'Brien, you talked about him. He's just a redshirt freshman, but even he will have a decision to make after this season's over.
Pass complete to his fullback, Taylor Watson. Danny O'Brien actually called Ralph Friedgen when the news came out that Friedgen was leaving, and O'Brien was very close to Friedgen and was close to James Franklin, the offensive coordinator, as we have a player hurt. That's Darrell Johnson, a defensive end for East Carolina. Called Ralph Friedgen and asked if he should transfer, or he just wanted to know his opinion as to whether or not he should transfer, and Friedgen said, no, don't do it. He said, first off, you've already burned your red shirt. He's a redshirt freshman, so you don't want to lose another year of eligibility. And he told Danny to wait and see who the next head coach is. And the word is that Maryland wants an offensive-minded coach, somebody to come in with great credentials as far as having a flashy offense. And so Ralph Friedgen said, wait and see how things turn out. Maryland wants to have a coach in place by January 4th, which is when the recruiting period opens up. Ralph talked to Danny for about 45 minutes and also talked to Danny O'Brien's mom.
Yeah, that's the type of, all the stories that we've heard about Ralph Friedgen have been, you know, what a mentor, what a father figure is to so many young players on this team. Torrey Smith and he have a very close relationship. Like you said, he and Danny O'Brien spoke about what Danny should do for his future.
Quint Kesnick has more on that down on the field. Quint.
Yeah, I think it's impossible for Danny to make a decision right now without knowing who the head coach is. I mean, a couple examples. Ryan Mallett, who was at Michigan. Rich Rodriguez gets that job, realizes that they're going to go to a spread run attack. He transfers to Arkansas. He benefits from that. When you think about, Ken Niumatalolo at Navy, people have been, talking about him maybe coming over to Maryland. An option coach. So I think in O'Brien's interest, he's got to wait and clearly wait until the dust settles.
And that was great advice, obviously, that the Coach Friedgen gave him as well. And it's going to be, the 4th is just around the corner, about another week away. Good run by DJ Adams. He already has 3 touchdown runs today, all of them from a yard out. Kevin Anderson, the new athletic director, is already in the interviewing process. There are some of the names. June Jones, Mike Leach, and Gus Malzahn reportedly all have interviewed. Jones has withdrawn his name from consideration. And there are some others. It's
whoever
right.
gets the job is going to inherit a pretty solid program. We've seen both sides of the football. They have young talent. They've got a solid foundation on which to build.
They're going to have a 9-win season and another touchdown for Adams. DJ Adams with 4 rushing touchdowns, and Maryland has hit 50 points.
That's 50. Hey, look at it.
His first 3 TD runs from a yard out. That time he had to work 4 times harder. It was from 4 yards out.
And as great a game as these backs have had, the offensive line, the big boys up front, all day long have provided them with pretty big holes to run through.
DJ Adams, Jarrell Scott, David Meggett, the big 3 in the running back position. Baltz scores the extra point, and Maryland leads East Carolina 51-13. 4 touchdowns for the redshirt freshman, DJ Adams. What was his score? Maryland with 296 yards on the ground. That young man, DJ Adams, with 4 rushing touchdowns. Maryland up 51-13. They led 16-3 at the half, and they have just blown this game open in the second half. Ralph Friedgen going to go out a winner as the head coach. Ferrara's kick to Dwayne Harris. And he's able to squirt through a little bit of daylight. Take a couple of guys with him down to the 40-yard line. That's Matt Robinson, a true freshman from Columbia, Maryland, just north of Washington, D.C. And we have a Kevin Anderson sighting. There is the new athletic director at the University of Maryland. Took over for Debbie Yao, who is now in charge at NC State. And he is the guy who made the decision not to bring Ralph Friedgen back. And Ralph Friedgen on the phone with us a couple of days ago said that he understood that that's the way it goes. Athletic directors, by and large, like to bring in their own guys.
And that was a veteran, classy move by Ralph Friedgen to make that statement. And Kevin Anderson has his work cut out for him. I'm sure he's going to be very busy in the interview process.
Trying to find that successor that they want done by the 4th. Michael Dobson gets an opportunity to carry the ball. Antoine Perez makes the stop. But Ralph Friedgen did tell us that he felt belittled by the way his dismissal was handled by the University of Maryland.
Well, it's interesting. He said they started off 7-2, and he was told he'd be able to finish out the length of his contract, which was 1 more season. And he said he kind of knew at that point he was hoping for an extension, but said he felt it was almost a slap in the face that he wasn't getting that offer.
And when he was told they would not offer him an extension, he asked to be bought out. They did that, and he's getting the nice buyout, about $2 million. And this is where you have to feel, Friedgen is taken care of. He told us during the season that he was, financially set even without the buyout. He's going to go sit on his boat for now, 63 years old, chill out a little bit, decide what he wants to do. But it's the assistants now who are they're the ones that kind of get lost in the shuffle, and they're the ones who have to scramble for jobs. Several will go with James Franklin down to Vanderbilt as Dwayne Harris gets a catch. And a lot of fans showing the love for Ralph Friedgen. Harris capping off a career Conference USA MVP, senior from Stone Mountain, Georgia, but this is turning into a Ralph Friedgen showcase for Maryland. More pressure on Davis, and he goes down. The sack, and Friedgen got the Gatorade bath over on the sideline. Maryland has some backups in there now. That is Austin Walker. And Davis is down on the field. I'll show you why Friedgen is no longer dry on the sideline. This is just a moment ago. Players were Powerade, not Gatorade. Celebrates the sack, and the players get him.
And probably one of the most memorable scenes for the players is it's a tradition that players, the senior players, get carried off the field in their last practice at Maryland. And I guess the other day the players carried Coach Friedgen off the field from practice. So I want to know how many players it took to lift Coach Friedgen and carry him off the field.
We were told that it was indeed several players had to lift him off. Boy, Davis, he's been under duress all afternoon. 58 pass plays, and unbelievably, that is his first sack. Davis, good to see him get up. He has been valiant, fighting from behind all game. What a terrific season he had, and East Carolina fans, take heart. This guy's coming back next year and will be even better than he was this year. He'll have a full spring camp to get things going. So he's out. Brad Warnick now comes in. Warnick's a great story. Used to be on the scout team. Walked on, was on the scout team, and now he's the backup quarterback. So a fan favorite for the folks down in Greenville, North Carolina, and he completes his pass to Bodenheimer. Dari Noka in the studio with an update. Hey, Dari.
Hey guys, just want to let everybody know the Texas Bowl down in Houston, Illinois and Baylor is underway. It is currently airing over on ESPN Classic. As soon as East Carolina, Maryland is over, we will send everybody to Houston to watch that game. Illinois, by the way, just recovered a Baylor dropped lateral and returned it into Bear territory. We will keep you posted, guys.
Thank you, Dari. This game is running very long in clock time. Dwayne Harris with another catch. This is coming up on ESPN when we are finished here. Illinois Baylor in the Texas Bowl. Then we will have a post-game extra for on ESPN News, and on ESPN3.com we will have live coverage of the trophy ceremony. Quint down on the field going to grab Ralph Friedgen for an interview, so we want to hang on for that. Another completion to Lance Lewis. This is our last television game. It's been a great season. We want to thank Todd Koulis, our producer, Scott Barkey, who's been our director all year, Anthony DeMarco directing today, guys in the truck like Todd Andrews and Tad Weimer, Becky Solomon. We've had a terrific crew to work with. And up here in the booth, Bill Garrity, the best spotter / assistant coach, and Ed Svita, the hardest working statistician in football. I believe this is his fifth game of the weekend. This won't end for him. We have had a great season and want to thank all those people in the truck who you don't get to see, who make our lives a lot easier.
There's Don Brown, defensive coordinator, still coaching away, giving the officials an earful. He's even got some Gatorade on him. I think everybody's gotten a piece of the action.
Literally emptying the bucket over there on the Maryland sidelines. Will be interesting to see where he ends up. Would love to stay, as you mentioned earlier, Danny, with this defense. And but you don't know. New guys come in, very rarely will have holdovers. James Franklin actually was a holdover on the Maryland staff. It had been under the current administration, was as a grad assistant, and ended up on Ralph Friedgen's staff. And now Franklin is going to go and try to get that Vanderbilt football program going. Throw into the end zone, and it is tipped and incomplete. Kenny Tate got a hand on it.
And Kenny Tate has had an exceptional afternoon, too. Plays the safety position, but he's been active blitzing the quarterback. He's lined up at defensive end. He's played linebacker there. He almost gets an interception, covering a lot of ground. Another bright, young, talented player for Maryland.
Great size for that young man at 6'4", 220. He's made some All-American teams this year. Illinois Baylor is indeed following us as soon as this game ends. It's been all Maryland here in the second half. Warnick throws short and completes it. And that is an East Carolina touchdown. Justin Jones, the big 6'8", redshirt freshman, gets into the end zone. And for Warnick, the former scout team player who walked on, his first collegiate touchdown throw.
Warnick's had something that Dominique Davis did not get, and that's some solid pass protection. He's able to find the big target, Justin Jones. 6 feet 8 inches. Find him for the touchdown.
Barbour adds the extra point. East Carolina now down 51-20 with 1:43 left to go in the football game.
And I'm saying, Pam, there's no way that Ralph Friedgen doesn't tear up after this game. All the emotion will pour out from him.
Stay with us. We'll have the trophy ceremony live on ESPN3.com. All the photographers have made their way down to Ralph Friedgen. He said this was his most enjoyable team he's had. And he even last year when they were 2-10 would not get down on him, was very positive with him. This is a guy who almost lost his job last year when they were 2-10, hung on to it. Debbie Yao was the athletic director at that point. And he said to us, I don't think I'm finished coaching yet. He would still like to come back and coach. We mentioned that he's 63.
But even the thing that's really interesting to me is he said he had to change his personality, change the way he did things, and he adjusted and tried to relate more to the younger players and eased up on practices, did some things differently as far as making meetings, team meetings mandatory every day. They would kind of get on the same schedule and really made some adjustments that helped this turnaround.
And we met with him earlier this year in person, and he was certainly more lighthearted than we had seen him previously. And now Maryland at least is expecting an onside kick. All their receivers, good hands guys up top. And Ryan going to kick it off. Logan waits at his 15. And Logan is a terrific punt returner, gets to return a kick up to the 21-yard line. Tonight's Capital One player of the game is the senior running back from Pennsylvania, Darrell Scott. 200 yards on the nose, 2 touchdown runs, long ones of 61 and 91 yards. And he showed us a lot of speed on those.
Well, those 2 runs, those long ones, the 61-yarder and the 91-yarder, really got some great separation, but he just blew past the East Carolina defense.
Jamar Robinson, the backup quarterback who started the first 3 games for the Terps, is now in there in relief of Danny O'Brien. Robinson more of an option kind of quarterback. And you were talking about the way that as Mike Salvatacco gets in there, excuse me, gets in there and gets the carry. There was a pregame meeting one of the players were talking about, and a cell phone went off, and Friedgen just went nuts. Whose cell phone is that going nuts? And then all of a sudden he realized it was his cell phone. And the players all had a good laugh, and he laughed along with it you know, they all had a good laugh at Friedgen's expense. And he is going out as a winner. ACC Coach of the Year, the first year he got at Maryland in 2001, and leaves as the ACC Coach of the Year in 2010. And will leave with a bowl victory. East Carolina will end its season 6-7. Defense giving up over 50 points a game on average for the last 6 games. And now the emotion. Ralph Friedgen, it could be a big, tough, gruff but lovable Ralph, I think you could say. He is starting to feel some of the emotion. as his head coaching career at Maryland ticks down. Time for, as the clock ran down, but a timeout was called with 2 seconds left to go. Fireworks going off prematurely, and now they're just, the officials are going to let it go. Ralph Friedgen heads off the field a winner. He gave Maryland a great decade of head coaching and leaves with a huge 51-20 win over East Carolina. Congratulations on the other sideline, Ruffin McNeil. His first season at East Carolina, comes over and congratulates him. And Ralph Friedgen caps off his Maryland career with a victory. Friedgen surrounded by his family. DJ Adams with 4 rushing touchdowns this afternoon, as Maryland ran over East Carolina, wins it 51-20 to win the inaugural Military Bowl. The live coverage of the trophy ceremony down on the field log on to ESPN3.com. For Danny Cannell and Quint Kesnick, I'm Pam Ward saying so long for now from Washington, D.C. Let's take you out to Houston, Texas. So long from Washington.